NBA's most coveted prize, and it's found a home in Houston. So is Akeem Olajuwon, who on draft night 11 years ago was the #1 selection and has propelled the Rockets to the league's stratosphere. With the help of a few others who stepped into the spotlight on this night, stardom may not have been forecast for them, but there was something about their talents that turned heads and helped turn Houston into the home of the NBA champions for 2 years running. Tonight, from the home of the expansion Raptors, Toronto hosts the 1995 NBA Draft. He's no ordinary Joe, and he could become the first Maryland Terrapin chosen first overall since '76. A couple of Tar Heel teammates are just moments away from realizing NBA dreams. There's been a rising tide of interest in this Alabama forward. And don't forget that high school kid who lives above the rim, or that Bruin who cut down the nets. On the shores of Lake Ontario, beautiful Toronto, Ontario, Canada, site of the 1995 NBA Draft. They played the first NBA game in this city in 1946. There's the new parquet for the expansion Raptors. I doubt back in '46 that they had a mascot. And I sincerely doubt that the mascot ever floated down from the ceiling of the arena as he did tonight to tip off the NBA Draft in front of between 15 and 20,000 fans here at Sky Dome in Toronto. And there backstage is the green room where the hopefuls await Joe Smith. Will he be the #1 pick, the superstar out of Maryland? Where will Jerry Stackhouse go, the sensation out of North Carolina? And how about the high school kid, Kevin Garnett, out of Farragut Academy in Chicago, Illinois? Everybody loves the kid. He can jump right out of the gym. So some dreams will be realized tonight. And to get it started, let's go to the commissioner of the NBA, David Stern.
Good evening, and welcome to the 1995 NBA Draft. Held for the first time in Canada, home of the NBA's two newest teams, the Vancouver Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors. This year's draft is being telecast on both TNT in the United States and YTV here in Canada. To our fans across North America and to those of you gathered here in Sky Dome, home of the Raptors, thank you for joining us. You all know the rules, so let's get started. The first pick in the 1995 NBA Draft will be made by the Golden State Warriors, who have 5 minutes to make their selection.
And so the clock has started on the 1995 NBA Draft, live from Toronto. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ernie Johnson here at Sky Dome. And this is usually a night of great celebration in the NBA. Kids realizing their NBA dreams. There will be 58 chosen tonight. But while there may not be a dark cloud hanging over Sky Dome tonight, there are some clouds on the NBA horizon because there is still not an agreement between the owners and the players on a collective bargaining agreement. And there's been a lot of noise made by some high-powered players and high-powered agents about decertifying the players' union, just busting it up. And chaos could ensue in the minds of some. In the minds of others, players say, look, they tried to agree to an agreement that we did not like, and if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't be here in the first place. The latest straw today, Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan, leading a group of 7 NBA players filing in federal court in Minneapolis an antitrust suit against the NBA. So the theme in the 1990s of big league sports in the courts apparently continuing, and that cloud on the horizon for the NBA here tonight as we kick off the draft of 1995. Let's get the NBA's response to what has happened in the courts in Minneapolis today as we turn it over to Craig Sager right now. Craig?
Well, Ernie, surprising and disappointing. A week ago, the players and the owners had agreed in principle to a new collective bargaining agreement. Russ Granick, the deputy commissioner, was the chief negotiator. Obviously, you're disappointed. But what does this mean from the league standpoint? How do you respond to today's action?
Well, I'm not particularly concerned about the lawsuit today. I think this law firm has been railing about the antitrust laws and the NBA for the last 2 decades and has never gotten any judgment against the NBA. It's kind of a nuisance, and I think perhaps reflects the fact that they don't have the support that they say they have when it comes to an election in front of the NLRB.
But when they put Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing's name on a lawsuit, it has a lot of credence. Your moratorium expires July 1st. What are the chances? Are the owners united in a possible lockout of the players?
Well, I think the owners are very united. We spent 18 months trying to negotiate a deal, and then finally, after 3 weeks going around the clock, last week we concluded a deal with the union. Then, as the result of these few players and a few agents, we were told the union couldn't ratify the deal. So the owners feel that they've done everything that they can possibly do in these circumstances, and they're going to have to make a decision within the next 48 hours when the moratorium expires as to what to do. And I'm sure they'll make that decision, probably tomorrow or the next day.
The commissioner told us last night he was optimistic but losing confidence. November, the season is supposed to start. Does this further enhance the possibility that we will not start the season on time?
Oh, I think that there's a real risk of that. If our players are going to have to make a difficult decision. Either they want to join with these agents who seem intent on overturning the entire business, or they have to decide that the partnership's been pretty good for everybody for the last 10 years. If they go with the former, then I think we're very much in risk of losing a significant part or maybe all of next season.
Well, does basketball follow the path of baseball, or do they learn from the ex-national pastime? We'll see. Back to you, Ernie.
Thank you very much, Craig Sager. Sort of an ominous note on which to start the proceedings on draft night 1995. And I hear you groaning at home. Here we go again. Let's hope we're not going that way again. Joining me here tonight, Hubie Brown and Rick Pitino. One of these three has never coached the New York Knicks. I'll let you guys at home guess that one. Hubie Brown, let's look at this big picture on this night. What are we going to see? There's been a lot of wrangling, a lot of jockeying the last 24 hours.
Ernie, it could be a draft of musical chairs. A player could be picked early in this draft and then traded somewhere down in the first round. You might look at that and say that trade is totally inadequate. But once there is an agreement over the summer between the NBA and the Players Association, we'll see the cap go to 23 or 24 million, and then over the summer, players will change teams. A delayed reaction, the secondary phase of a trade.
Well, if this guy to your left hasn't coached a guy or played against him or tried to recruit him, then he's not here tonight. Rick Pitino of the University of Kentucky. A lot of undergraduates in the field. Are they ready for the NBA, Rick?
Probably not physically or mentally, but they're the best out there right now. They've taken our juniors out of the college ranks. Now it's the sophomores. Now, unfortunately, it's high school players. But they're very talented young men. Which one will reach his potential? That's what the scouts have to make up their minds about.
What's going to go on with this draft? Do you keep all these guys? Might some of these guys move? What is your feeling at this point?
No, I honestly feel, because we're privy to some things, and that is that down the line we might see players traded. But like we said, that maybe it does not look like equal talent once the trades are announced down the line. But delayed action over the summer, there will be other pieces that will come, and we know of at least 2 or 3 teams that are going to be involved in this type of a situation.
You see the clock running here, a minute 17, 1:16, 1:15, no timeouts to call there either for the Philadelphia 76ers, who have the number 3 pick. What do they need? Where do they go? Is it a Stackhouse thing?
Well, they need a 2 guard. They're looking for one. You look at their front line, very young, energetic, and the trouble last year was inconsistency at the 2 guard position. Now they have tried to make some trades since the season has ended, and also move around in this draft by picking up a player, by changing positions. But you know what? If they take Stoudemire right here, they've answered what they...
Or Stoudemire.
I'm sorry.
If they take Stoudemire,
right
we got a real story here.
No, you're absolutely right. Now, if they take Stackhouse at this position, but then again, you must look and see, are they going to succumb to any type of a pressure to take the home city boy, Rasheed Wallace?
Right. Now, where does he fit in? 2 or 3? Is he a shooting guard? Is he a small forward? Where do you play him?
I think he's a 2 guard in the NBA, but John Lucas right now just got all his prayers answered. He's been going to church for 2 weeks. He wanted Jerry Stackhouse, and he just got all his prayers answered.
Jerry Stackhouse certainly available if that is the direction the Philadelphia 76ers want to go in here with the 3rd pick of the 1995 draft. We've already seen Joe Smith go number 1, and we saw Antonio McDyess go number 2. Here's number 3 in the commission.
With the 3rd pick in the 1995 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Jerry Stackhouse from the University of North Carolina.
Got some Tar Heel blue in the Sky Dome here tonight, cheering on Jerry Stackhouse, the number 3 pick of the draft. Led the Tar Heels in scoring and steals, the first sophomore since J.R. Reed to lead the Tar Heels in scoring. A lot of folks say, hey, he's the next Michael Jordan. I don't know if that's unfair baggage to put on a guy because he wears the same color uniform, played at the same place. But Jerry Stackhouse definitely with some athletic skills, some great ability. He can do the spectacular on the basketball court. And here tonight in Toronto, he has become the number 3 pick of the NBA draft. That's a scene which will be repeated time and again tonight. Minnie Stackhouse watching her son Jerry celebrate being the 3rd pick in the draft. Small forward, shooting guard, 6'5½", 208 pounds, out of North Carolina, and he goes to the Philadelphia 76ers.
But you look at his talents, Ernie. We know that he's a slasher off the dribble. He loves to attack the rim. He's an excellent offensive rebounder. He'll be a good post-up guy when you post up your 2 guards. But the big thing he must work on now is his perimeter game, because they have the inside people who will be double-teamed. And in the NBA with the 24-second clock, you must have the perimeter shot. He must develop that, as well as defending the great scorers at the 2 position will be really a novelty for him at the beginning, and he'll have to work hard.
For the first time in NBA draft history, the first 3 picks are all sophomores in college. The latest being Jerry Stackhouse. He's with Segs.
After working out for all the top teams in the lottery, what's your reaction to going to Philadelphia?
Oh, I'm happy. I'm really happy. I'm going to be able to stay on the East Coast and play with a coach who I've become familiar with, and a really young team is, I think, had a good chance of being a contender.
Hubie Brown, Rick Pitino said all-around talent, tremendous skills, but yet you have not reached your potential. How will your game improve in Philadelphia?
I think I have a coach who's really going to push me, and I have teammates around me who can help my game tremendously. So I'm just happy to be in this situation.
What do you think about leaving after your sophomore year now?
Right now, I think I made a great decision. I mean, I think if any other team would have drafted me, then maybe it wouldn't have been a good decision. But with this pick, I think I made a great decision.
How will you have to change your game to play the 2-guard position, specifically on the defensive end?
I don't think it'd be a big change for me. I've guarded smaller players, in college, and I've also guarded bigger players. So I think it's just going to help me. Being able to play some power forward at North Carolina really just going to help me be able to, guard bigger and smaller players.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. The top 3 picks so far, all sophomores. Will continue our coverage of the 1995 NBA Draft from the Sky Dome in Toronto in just a moment.
Beautiful Toronto, Ontario, Canada, site of the 1995 NBA Draft. We're inside Sky Dome where 3 picks have been made, and up next the Washington Bullets with the number 4 pick in the draft. Ernie Johnson back with you here from Sky Dome along with Rick Pitino and Hubie Brown. And Hubie, you look at the Bullets and a lot of folks are thinking, hey, are they going to give up the 4 pick to Portland as part of this deal? And they were kind of the linchpin in this first round.
Well, up until now, nothing has happened. Now, are they drafting in order to make a trade with Portland later? Well, that we really don't know. This is a chance for them, though, to get a quality big man in Rasheed Wallace. Or they could go for a young, small forward in Garnett. Now, this will be interesting because if they take Garnett, everyone will be saying, hey, there's going to be a major trade somewhere along the line here. Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
And we will not have to wait too much longer. There's the commissioner, and here comes the 4 pick.
With the 4th pick in the 1995 NBA Draft, the Washington Bullets select Rasheed Wallace from the University of North Carolina.
So power forward is the position of the night so far. 3 out of the 4 picks. The big forward spot. And this is a big guy, 6'9 3/4", 230 pounds. The 20-year-old Rasheed Wallace out of Simon Grants in Philadelphia, one of the most highly recruited players in the country. And a sophomore at the North Carolina. 4 straight sophomores now chosen, Rick Pitino, and you've seen this guy up close.
Quite a few times. Lost a recruiting battle to North Carolina with him, but I'll tell you something about Rasheed Wallace. Out of all the players, I think he fits the NBA bill better than everyone else right away. Physically, he can come in and play the power forward spot. He shoots it well from 18 feet. He's a shot blocker, and then you can turn around and play him as a backup center. I think this is a great pick. They say emotionally he may not be ready, but what sophomore in college is ready?
Exactly right. I shudder to think about my sophomore year in college. 93 blocks to set a Tar Heel record this year. He also can go on a tear against Georgetown in the NCAA tournament. 20 second-half points on 9 out of 9 field goals. There is the 4th pick of the draft, Rasheed Wallace of North Carolina.
Ernie, what you get here, you get the shot blocking, but you get a high percentage shooter. He has a nice game with his back to the basket. You can see the sweeping hook. He has a jump hook. He can hit the jump shot facing, and then you can see right there the athleticism is nothing but outstanding. Now the problem, maybe a low pain threshold, okay? Maybe because of the age factor, not ready emotionally to take on the big, strong, heavier type of players early. But you put him in through that weight program and they build the upper body, this guy has nothing but an upside.
We heard a huge roar go up, a lot of that being from backstage at the Green Room when Rasheed Wallace was selected, a big bunch of it coming from Tobacco Road, I believe, around the ACC. Happy to see this guy get out of the conference. Rasheed Wallace taken 4th in the NBA draft. Let's go to Craig Sager.
Well, Rasheed, we heard all-around talents. Rick Pitino said ready for the NBA with a body like nobody else in this entire draft, especially for a sophomore. But looking and have your teammate go so early, why now, besides the money?
We felt as though it was the time now, and we felt ready, so we just came out, do what we got to do.
You visited a lot of the top teams. What was your impression of the Washington Bullets?
I like the way they work down there. Coach Lynham, he's a great coach. He's in Philadelphia with me, so I have faith in him and the Washington crew.
We've had a big rivalry in college basketball between Michigan and North Carolina. Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, how'd you get along with them?
I know Juwan personally. He's a great person. I've met Chris a couple of times. He seems to be nice, but we're going to go back and forth, say, Michigan and Carolina stories.
Okay, good luck. Okay. Let's go back to you, Ernie.
All right, and let's go to Rick Pitino, a guy who has seen him many times in college. What kind of a pro future do you forecast for a guy like Rasheed?
I think he's got a great future, but he really physically as well as emotionally has to get used to the NBA. Most of these guys around All-Star break are going to run into a wall. Most guys who spend 4 years out of college run into that wall, but now as a sophomore it even gets greater.
Next up, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have the number 5 pick in the draft. What do they look for here, Hubie?
Well, they're looking for talent.
And this is an expansion team that's never made the playoffs. Everybody else does. What's the problem?
Well, I would think that, you know, as you look back at the players who they've drafted on the first round over the years, I think only 2 of them are still on the team. And that's a big fact. Right now, they need talented people. They were out-rebounded by 6 a game, and that accounts for the fact it makes it difficult to win the close ball games. So at this point, do they go for Garnett, the high school player, a shot blocker, but you're saying he's still a high school player with a great deal of talent, or do they go for a big center? At this spot. I don't think that they go for a guard. I think it's going to be something up front help.
You bring up the name of Kevin Garnett, and a lot of folks around the NBA are thinking, hey, this guy is going to go, it could be here certainly in the top 10. And would the Minnesota Timberwolves be the team that might want this guy? And you take a look at their needs at this point, Hubie.
Yeah, I think when you look at the unrestricted free agents, they're losing Mike Brown, a center, and then you have your other people who are, perimeter types of players. But the big thing is Ernie, they can't win with their present guys up front. They need help, but you also want to get here a talent for the future, a person who has a lot of upside, a lot of potential, and this young guy could be a star.
He's as good a high school basketball player as I've seen in the last 10 years physically. He'll probably eventually be a power forward. Maybe they'll play him a little bit at small forward. He has all the skills. Great leaper inside, runs the floor well, has great vision as far as passing is concerned. So he has everything.
Let's go down to the podium. The commissioner is ready with the number 5 pick in the draft.
With the 5th pick in the 1995 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Kevin Garnett from Farragut Academy in Chicago.
The high school kid is the number 5 pick in the NBA draft. Kevin Garnett, 19 years old. Won't be 20 until next year, so he's a young 19. Parade All-American first team, Mr. Basketball in Illinois and in South Carolina. He was in Malden, South Carolina for a time before going to Chicago. The story, why is he going to the NBA now? His test scores were not high enough, did not want to do the junior college route. He applied for early entry to the NBA draft, and he's the 5th early entry candidate in a row now to be selected in this draft. And his stories are becoming legend already from people who watch him work out, from the fact that I guess he had a triple-double in 1 quarter in high school. And also in the Chicago camp, Hubie, this guy was knocking some people's socks off.
Yeah, well, I think he surprised people who said we went in to watch him work out hoping that he was really not that good. Unfortunately, they got in there and they saw the athleticism. Plus, one of his biggest, not only the shot blocking rebound, he runs the floor like the wind for a player that size. And then he's probably right at the top as one of the best passers that we have in this draft, to go along with everything else that he possesses.
Well, let's take a look at Kevin Garnett in action, the Farragut Academy product out of Chicago, the power forward, and take me through his game, Rick.
I went to watch him play in high school, and I felt he had all the skills of one of the better high school players I've seen up front in some time. He, as you see here, he has soft hands, he can turn around. He's a little thin, but that will develop in the NBA. I made a statement, though. I thought he was immature for the college game at that point. Now he goes to the professional game where it's a totally different environment. Kevin McHale understands that. He understands the guidance this young man's going to have, and a lot of time is going to have to be spent with him.
He follows in the footsteps of Moses Malone and Daryl Dawkins and Bill Willoughby, straight from high school right into the NBA ranks. Tough to do. Let's check in now with Craig Sager, who was with the Sports Illustrated cover guy.
Well, that was the cover. Ready or not? That was the big question. Why do you think you are ready for the big transition, the step from high school to the NBA?
Well, one reason I think I'm ready is because I work so hard. I think everybody who's in this draft has worked hard to get to where they're at, and I think I have I'm pretty exception. I work pretty hard at everything that I do, and I know the NBA is just another level of hard work, and I'm set for that step.
What qualities of your game can Timberwolves fans expect to see immediately on the court?
Number one, they're just going to see a person and a player that comes out and plays hard every night, 1,000%. I'm going to see some teamwork. I'm going to see some passing. I'm a team player. I don't mind if I get the ball. I just try to go in there and do my best and then leave the game, saying that I gave it my all. That's all.
What interests you have other than basketball? How will you occupy your time after a 2.5-hour practice?
Well, I plan on getting my degree as far as college and everything, because everybody, especially my mother, that's something she really wants me to have, and I plan on getting that. Even though I am in the NBA, I can say that now. I plan on using my off time for as far as reaching my degree, and that's a goal of mine. That's something that I like to get. Some goal I'd like to reach at this time.
Well, it's time to start studying now. Here's the Minnesota roster. You go back and study it while we send it back to the stat.
All right, thank you, Craig, and thank you, Kevin Garnett. And he's just a big, fun-loving kid. We saw him in the lobby yesterday. He had one of the lines of the week. He looked at Hubie and said, "Man, I love your action." Hope you love the action, too, and it's just starting here in the 1995 NBA Draft. We'll be back here at Skydome in just a minute. Kind of a small power forward, the 5th power forward taken out of 11 choices here in the first round of the NBA draft. It is Gary Trent out of Ohio University, 6'6.5", 252. He does carry some pounds, Hubie.
Yeah, but he is a quick jumper, and he's a finisher. He's never had problems scoring, and also getting a number of rebounds in the course of a game against big-time talent. I watched this guy in the Olympic Festival, and he was dominating. Now, we're talking very quick. He can handle down inside. Now, when you're putting together a young team like the Milwaukee Bucks, all you're trying to do is add quality, talented guys who play big and play with a big heart.
A great year for this guy, Gary Trent, despite the fact he was double and triple teamed, and he still put up nice numbers. There you see the festivities going on here in Toronto. We go to Craig Sager with Gary Trent.
Well, Gary, your dream has come true. You're underrated no more. Brought a great season, the Mid-American Conference this year. Was there a time when you said, "Hey, I'm ready for this next level"?
When I first got to school, I told my coach that I thought I would be ready in 3 years, and I stayed down to school every summer to work real hard at trying to develop myself. And now that I'm here, I'm going to work even harder because I feel I have many more years of work ahead of me than I've already put in.
This summer, you spent a lot of time running around Franklin Park in Columbus with your dad and your sister. What did you guys talk about as you approached the draft?
We just jogged. We just jogged, and I tried to keep my mouth shut and just run. You know, I was sucking a lot of wind. But my dad trained me hard. My trainer, Dave, trained me hard. My coach, Johnny, we worked out with me real hard.
The Mid-American Conference may not have gotten a lot of publicity, but it was a tough league this year.
Oh, yes, it was very tough. You know, teams were pretty much even. So, you know, there was really no dominant teams, but I think it was a close race. It's a lot of good games.
Just awfully nice tonight, but you got to remember, Milwaukee changed the color from green to purple.
Well, I had a friend at home named Kevin. He owned this place called the Men's Shop, and he hooked me up with a couple of pieces, you know, that I wore last night and today, so here to represent.
All right, congratulations, good luck. Let's go back to Ernie on this set.
Get that plug in there, Gary Trent. Nice job, and congratulations on being chosen first by the Milwaukee Bucks.
You wait for that moment all your life to have your name called. Don't think that every basketball player does not watch the draft and one day say, hey, I want my name to be called. I want to walk across the stage. I don't think there's one guy who ever had forgotten when he was drafted. You will always remember that. You always have that because you always dreamed of being in the NBA. So when that moment comes and your name is called, you finally have arrived.
And tonight, you've arrived at a place where childhood dreams will come true. With the big city of New York as a backdrop, some of the best young players in the world stand at the doorstep to the big time, the NBA. We welcome you to East Rutherford, New Jersey, and the home of the New Jersey Nets, Continental Airlines Arena. It is the 1996 NBA Draft, start to finish on TNT. Thanks for being with us tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ernie Johnson. And you listen to the words of Magic Johnson, and he speaks with such passion, even though it happened 17 years ago when he was the #1 pick of the draft. It means that much. It speaks volumes to the magnitude of this night, to the young players and to their families and to their schools and to their coaches, that tonight they could hear their names called, being one of 58 players chosen in the 1996 NBA Draft. We are glad you're with us for 4 hours worth. Rounds 1 and 2. 2 rounds in this draft. 5 minutes between picks in the first round. The lightning round, 2 minutes between picks in the second. The Knicks have 3 in the first round. The Heat and the Spurs, no selections. And 36 underclassmen are eligible for the draft. This is kind of an unnerving night at times if you are making the choices, and already we know that the Toronto Raptors are having their door knocked down by Minnesota and Milwaukee and Boston, wanting to get up to that #2 spot. Isaiah Thomas apparently going to go with his gut right there at #2 and pull the trigger on one of those choices. It's that kind of a night when it is draft night. What is the key, Hubie Brown?
Well, I think you have to look, Ernie. It's a very deep draft. We're overloaded at the small forward and power positions, but you also have to look into the formula and say over 150 free agents, the most talent ever coming out as of July 1st.
Also joining us tonight, the last time he was in this building, his Kentucky Wildcats were winning the national championship. Head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, Rick Pitino. Rick, a lot of folks coming out, a lot of kids coming out. Childhood, not too distant memory for some of these guys. What is the risk you take if you draft one of them?
Well, it certainly is a risk because in 3 years you could possibly lose one of those picks. But Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas all came out early, and certainly we may have players at that level right now coming out. So great future lies ahead for these young men.
Tonight is a lot like last year's draft in Toronto in that there is the specter of an NBA lockout hanging over the proceedings here on July 1 because there is still no collective bargaining agreement between the NBA and the Players Association. Let's get more on where things stand as far as that issue goes with 2 more of our colleagues here tonight, Greg Sager and Peter Vesey, the NBA NBC insider, who's working with us tonight, and they're with Russ Granick, Deputy NBA Commissioner. Gentlemen.
Well, we certainly don't want to spoil the party. This is a night of celebration, but we have to talk about the negotiations. They broke off last night. You went back to the table today. Is any progress being made?
Well, I think some progress was made today. We did meet for 4 or 5 hours, and we're scheduled to meet again tomorrow, but it's still too early to tell if we're getting anywhere or not.
Should there be a lockout, how does that impact the Olympics? There are a couple guys that are there on this team that were dissidents in the decertification movement, and 4 of these guys, Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller, John Stockton, and now Gary Payton, are free agents. Maybe they won't want to even play without an insurance policy or a contract.
Well, I don't think, Pete, that it should affect the Olympics. I mean, we support USA Basketball and the Olympic movement, but that's an entirely separate institution from the NBA, and I'd be surprised if any players said that they weren't ready to play for their country just because we have a labor dispute in the NBA. And I have not heard that from any of the players yet, and I'm certainly hopeful that whatever happens with the labor problems in the NBA, that we'll still have a dream team together.
This just doesn't make sense. You had an agreement a year ago. The commissioner said yesterday the players reneged on certain issues. What are those issues?
Well, there have been a number of issues. When they brought in a new negotiator in February, who had been the person who had been trying to decertify the union last summer, he basically said he didn't feel obligated to live up to a lot of the cap rules that have been agreed to the fact that we had a group license agreement allowing us to continue to utilize player likenesses, pension issues. There's a whole host of issues that they really turned the tables on once the new negotiator came in February.
Well, it takes sacrifice and determination to make it in the NBA. Let's hope those same ideals carry over from the players we interviewed tonight to the negotiating table tomorrow. Ernie?
All right, thank you very much, Craig Sager and Peter Vesey. Much more from those two as the night goes on. And the NBA Commissioner David Stern is set now to tip off the proceedings here of the 1996 NBA Draft. Let us go center stage to the Commissioner.
Good evening, and welcome to the 1996 NBA Draft at the Continental Airlines Arena, home of the New Jersey Nets. To our fans across North America, watching on TNT in the United States and YTV in Canada, thank you for joining us. And to our many fans gathered here today, thank you for your strong and enthusiastic turnout. Let's get started. The first pick in the 1996 NBA Draft will be made by the Philadelphia 76ers, who have 5 minutes to make their selection.
And so the clock is running on the Philadelphia 76ers as we begin the 1996 NBA Draft. Throughout the night, you will hear from our correspondents who have got you covered coast to coast, conference by conference, division by division. Scott Hastings, one of the all-time great 12th men in the league, will be in Phoenix covering the Pacific Division. The Midwest Division is handled by Jim Durham in Dallas. The Central Division handled by my old buddy Cheryl Miller, who's up there at Gund Arena. And let's begin our rip around now of who our correspondents are with Kevin Kiley in Philadelphia.
Thanks, Ernie. I'm at the Spectrum, where I'll be tracking the Atlantic Division. Rumors abound here in Philadelphia. Will the 76ers keep the #1 pick? Will they switch with Vancouver for the #3 pick? Well, you can put all those rumors to rest. The president of the 76ers, Pat Croce, told me a short time ago they will keep the #1 pick, and that clears the way for Allen Iverson to become a 76er. Let's go now to Cleveland and Cheryl Miller.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. I'm here at Gund Arena, and I'll be covering all the action in the Central Division. Now, the Cavaliers have 2 picks in the first round, and according to Coach Mike Fratello, they're definitely looking for some big men. Let's go to Jim Durham.
And Cheryl, here in Dallas, the Mavericks have had controversy all week surrounding the 3 J's. They put that behind them. They look ahead to the 9th pick in the first round, and what have they got? Maybe 3 W's. They're looking at Lorenzen Wright, Samaki Walker, and John Wallace. The Mavericks, like the rest of the Midwest and the NBA, keeping their options open. Let's go to Phoenix and Scott Hastings.
Thanks, Jim. I tell you what, the Pacific Division has all sorts of things going on. You got a disgruntled point guard in Portland. They're trying to get rid of him. Golden State's trying to draft somebody we can't even pronounce their name. And will Charles Barkley be traded before the draft or after the draft? We'll answer those questions out here in Phoenix. Ernie, back to you.
All right, Scotty, and geez, Golden State with a guy you can't pronounce. Could be Ephemius Rencius, Ildrenas Isgalskis, and Vitaly Potapenko. They are tough to pronounce, but all 3 of those guys should go somewhere in the first round. The #1 pick, however, belongs to the Philadelphia 76ers. Much of the speculation, and as Kevin Kiley pointed out, centering on Allen Iverson of Georgetown, the sophomore. Let's go to Peter Vesey now. And Peter, any reason to think they'd go anywhere but Iverson?
No, I think he has a pretty good source there in Mr. Croce. I talked to Brad Greenberg, the 76er general manager a while ago. He loves Iverson for a number of reasons. He thinks he's the quickest guy in the draft, the fastest, the most competitive, the most mentally tough, the most persistent. In addition, he feels he's capable, very capable of running the team and making everybody happy. Other than that, Brad Greenberg isn't sure of the pick.
Quickly, guys, if you had to make the choice between Stephon Marbury and Iverson, where do you go?
Well, it comes down to style. You have a new coach, you have a new general manager. How are you going to play? You already have in cement Derek Coleman, you have Clarence Witherspoon, and then you have Stackhouse. 3 guys who score. It will come down to your philosophy. Here in New York, it's unanimous. It should be Marbury.
Where I sit, I like Marcus Camby because of the style of play of having to wait for Derek Coleman to get down the floor. The X factor, Derek Coleman gets in great shape. You got 3 wonderful players with Iverson, Stackhouse, and Derek Coleman.
There's been a lot of instability at the point for the Philadelphia 76ers since Maurice Cheeks left. And look at this list since 1989 of Johnny Dawkins and Hornacek, Ricky Green, Barrows, Tyler Skiles, Maxwell, and the instant offense guy, Trevor Ruffin. Making the adjustment from the point in college to the point in the pros, how tough is that?
Well, it's very difficult. First, starting with the defensive end, but Iverson and Marbury, 2 excellent defenders. Also, the 24-second clock, Ernie. You not only have to get the teams into their offensive sets, but you also have to be able to break the defensive down when that clock gets to 4 or 5 seconds.
We are ready for the first pick of the 1996 NBA draft, and to make the announcement, the commissioner, David Stern.
With the first pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Allen Iverson from Georgetown University.
And there you see backstage Allen Iverson, the Georgetown sophomore. Ann and Steve, mom and dad. Family and friends back there. And what a tremendous moment that is for a kid. You think about all the nights, all the mornings that you had to get up early, take the kid to his youth league game, and dreaming of this night, of being the first pick in the NBA draft. And it has happened for Allen Iverson. His mom, and there is David Falk, who should figure prominently into the...
He seems very happy.
Yes, as a matter of fact. Can't hide that smile. Wearing the hat of the Philadelphia 76ers, Allen Iverson. And let's talk a little bit about the first pick by the Philadelphia 76ers. An even 6 foot, 167 pounds, and as quick as you can possibly want out of a player about to go into the NBA. Allen Iverson led the Big East in scoring with 25 points a game and in steals with better than 3 a contest. He was consensus All-American. He averaged nearly 28 points a game in the NCAA tournament. He played 4 games there. Had 10 steals in a game against Miami. The first player to ever leave Georgetown in the John Thompson era. He had good reason to do this. He has a sister who's ill, needs a specialist. Allen Iverson wants to help. You look at the strengths and the weaknesses. A lot of strengths. A big upside on this guy. What do you think, Hubie and Rick?
Well, I think you also have to throw into the equation is the fact that he was Defensive Player of the Year 2 times in the Big East. You know that with the basketball from end to end, there's no one in the league going to be quicker. Plus, you know because of the explosiveness that he can break you down from a defensive standpoint. And a major plus with this guy, he gets to the foul line.
And pretty good ups on the guy, too. And I have a feeling he hasn't come down yet, even though he is with our Craig Sager right now. Craig?
All right, Allen, congratulations. Hubie Brown says there's nobody in the league quicker than you. Is there anybody that can stop you one-on-one?
I don't know. I hope not. I don't think so.
You've pretty well been able to do whatever you want on the court in high school and in college. What have the Sixers told you they expect from you?
They just want me to come in and play my game, distribute the ball. There's great players already on the team, Stackhouse and Derek Coleman. It'll be crazy to think that I will come in and try to take all the shots like I did at Georgetown. But I think we have a good game plan, and we got a great coach and a great staff, and I'm looking forward to it.
You mentioned great players. Derek Coleman obviously is one of them. If you talk to him, how do you get the best out of his game?
I haven't talked to him, but You know, they lost some games last year a lot, and I know they want to just dig deep down inside and bring everything out that they got and win some games. And all I want to do is win. And that whole staff and the organization, they just want to win.
Congratulations, you're number one.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, Ernie.
All right, there is his mom, Ann, and yeah, hanging on every word that Allen Iverson had to say. His first interview as a pro, you could say, talking to our Craig Sager. And that means that the last two picks of the draft have both been from Georgetown. Don Reed was the last pick last year, and now Allen Iverson, the first pick of the '96 draft. And Don Reed's success with Doug Collins and the Detroit Pistons points out, doesn't matter where you go, you can make an impact in this league. Allen Iverson definitely had an impact on the program at Georgetown, leaving after his sophomore year, leaving John Thompson with memories of a true fantastic point guard.
He's an extraordinary athlete. I think that the fact that he jumps well, he runs well, he's quick and fast, he is an intelligent person. He picks up very quickly, and you know, if Allen does not do something, it's because he made the choice to do it, not because of the fact that he does not understand. And I think he's got a tremendous competitive heart.
He is the sixth guard taken number one in the NBA draft, the last one taken 1979. Pretty good player, Earvin Magic Johnson. So the Philadelphia 76ers have a new look. They have a new point guard. Let us go now to Kevin Kiley. Kevin?
Thank you, Ernie. A lot of smiling faces here in Philadelphia. This is one of them, the new rookie head coach, Johnny Davis, former point guard yourself. I have to ask you, the character issue with Iverson, was it discussed?
We certainly discussed it. We evaluated, assessed Allen Iverson as a person, and we're very satisfied with who he is.
There's some concern that Iverson being so quick getting up and down the court that Coleman and Witherspoon will not get up and down the court with him. What's your feeling in coaching the team?
Not a concern at all. Derek Coleman, Jerry Stackhouse, both basketball players, both willing to do whatever. They'll be able to get up and down the floor with Allen Iverson.
You'll make sure they do. Now, what about the point guard position? What is the most difficult thing for a point guard to learn?
I think running the club, learning which players like the ball where, just being in command and authority of the game itself. I don't think Allen will have any problem making that adjustment at all.
Right, Johnny. Well, congratulations to you and to the Philadelphia 76ers. Back to you, Ernie.
Welcome back to the 1996 NBA Draft. In 1985, the big fella, Patrick Ewing, was the first pick overall out of Georgetown. Tonight, Allen Iverson became the second. Georgetown became the seventh school to have two #1 picks. Right now, Milwaukee is up. Let's go to the podium and Commissioner David Stern.
With the fourth pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Stephon Marbury from Georgia Tech University.
And pandemonium reigns backstage. Got to steal Vince Cellini's line, the traveling Marbury. He's got a family of basketball players. And I can recall as a Cub radio reporter in 1970s covering his brother Eric Marbury, Sky Dog they called him, at the University of Georgia. And Stephon Marbury really living a dream for that entire family, hoping that somebody would make an impact in the NBA, get their name called on this night. And there is Stephon Marbury. It's not just moms who shed a tear on this night. Draft. The Milwaukee Bucks take Stephon Marbury, 6'2", 182, out of Georgia Tech. Played 1 year for Bobby Crimmins. He was all ACC, scored about 19 points a game. He was number 5 in assists in the ACC Rookie of the Year. Only the 5th freshman selected to the first team All-ACC. Joe Smith, Kenny Anderson have done that, but Marbury may be I guess he will be. As far as point guards go in this league, and maybe you compare him to his predecessors like Kenny Anderson at that place, the best of the bunch.
Well, he has a great feel for the game. He gets everyone involved. He not only can score, shoot the threes, he's an excellent defender, and then he can make the pass in traffic.
Stephon Marbury is taken by the Milwaukee Bucks, number 4 overall in the first round, and he is standing by now with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Stephon, it's always an emotional scene in the back room there when you get drafted. But I tell you, when we saw your family sitting there hugging everybody, the tears coming to your mother Mabel's eyes, tears coming down your face. Did anybody in your family sleep last night? What was it like?
I can't even explain the way I feel right now. It's been 20 years. 20 long years. Waiting for this day. And it's here. It's here now. And
can I take your head off a second? What has this been talked about in your family? What has it been like?
I mean, we sit around long, tired, effort nights, just sitting there thinking about when that day was going to come. And for it to be here now, it just feels so good. I can put a permanent smile on my mother's face.
Also buy her that greenhouse for her plants.
Oh yeah, she gonna have that nice big greenhouse. Of course.
Last night we talked about the NBA. We said New York has leaders, politics, point guards. What does an NBA point guard mean to you? What's the definition?
A leader, a person that's gonna make everyone around him better, sacrifice, do everything that it takes to win.
Well, the Marburys have arrived. Nice talking to the Starberry. Congratulations. Good luck. Ernie?
Well, that's what the NBA draft is all about, isn't it, folks? The emotion overcoming Stephon Marbury, taken in the first round by the Milwaukee Bucks. He's the first Georgia Tech point guard to lead the team in scoring since Mark Price. An inside look, too, first Hubie Brown, an inside look at what he is able to do on the court, his quickness.
Well, you're going to see him come down the floor here right now and change directions quickly and come right into traffic, behind the back, the quick move, and now the big step. Now, once he gets down in here, he has the ability to make the pass in traffic, finding the free people, making everyone a better player.
There's also tears of joy out there in Milwaukee from Vin Baker and Glenn Robinson, because now they've got someone, although Sherman Douglas is an excellent point guard, they've got someone who can not only defend, but get them the ball consistently off penetration.
How about the Minnesota Timberwolves? They're on the clock now with about a minute and a half to go in their 5-minute span to make a pick. Where do you go if you're the Timberwolves, Hubie?
Well, there's a number of ways. I mean, you say, well, at the forward position, you already have Garnett and Gugliotta. You have Lang at the center. But it's like what Peter said up on top. We have no idea what is going on behind the scenes now. They might draft someone here, and that person is going someplace else. You have no idea what they have in their formula.
Let's check in with our correspondent on the Midwest Division. That is Jim Durham in Dallas. What's up with Minnesota?
I tell you what, Ernie, as you know, the Minnesota Timberwolves were guard shopping going into this draft. They had hoped to perhaps trade up and get a Marbury, or perhaps maybe they'll trade down and get someone else. But as Peter Vesey said earlier, it would appear that Antoine Walker would be their pick there. Now, there's an interesting sidebar to this issue. When he went to Minnesota to have the workout, he went one-on-one with John Wallace. And I understand Coach Pitino, Antoine Walker won. And maybe you could address that.
What do you think, Rick?
Well, you know, Antoine Walker is a terrific basketball player. He's, I think, going to be in 5 years one of the best players in this draft. I'm not sure he's going to Minnesota, certainly, but that remains to be seen. Peter said that they might trade him. I hope they trade him back to Kentucky.
I don't think it's going to happen. Let's go down to the podium to the Commissioner David Stern with Minnesota's pick at number 5.
With the 5th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Ray Allen from the University of Connecticut.
So the parade of underclassmen continues here in the first round. Ray Allen, the junior, out of UConn. Bit of a surprise here, guys? Or does this tell us something about what Minnesota might be thinking in the J.R. Rider position?
Well, yeah, you have J.R. Rider. You also have Doug West, Two excellent players. Doug West can play small forward as well as the two-guard position, and that's why we say we have no idea what Kevin McHale is doing, and we also know that Kevin McHale is brazen and also will get out there, and he's been very creative since he has become the head of the basketball operation.
Yes, this is not what they need. They were looking at the point guard center position, and they drafted a great shooting guard. So this looks like it may be a trade in the works, or he just was very happy with Ray Allen.
Yeah, there sure was a lot of talk earlier about Minnesota coveting Steve Nash, also a point guard, so we'll see what happens here down the road. But Ray Allen is their pick. Number 5 in the first round, 6'5", 198, and the Big East Player of the Year, 23.4 points a game. He was second to Allen Iverson in the conference in scoring. UPI's National Player of the Year. He knocked down some three-pointers, too. Hit 47% to lead the Big East, and his 115 threes on the year was a UConn record. Question about whether he'd be able to take some guys off the dribble. Is that a legitimate concern about what he can do?
Oh, that's a major concern, except he has range, Ernie. And this draft, you're looking for guys who can make the outside shots. He's an excellent three-point shooter. He's a good kid, and he's a terrific finisher in the open floor.
A Husky goes to the Timberwolves, the number 5 pick overall in the first round, and Ray Allen is with Craig.
Well, Ernie, this is kind of a surprise. Everywhere that Ray Allen interviewed, he made a very favorable impression. Everybody loved him. Senator Cole wants him to run his campaign. I asked him where he was going. You said you didn't know. And here you picked by a team where you didn't even interview.
It's very interesting because Donyell Marshall went to Minnesota, and I never thought I'd make it to Minnesota, but Minnesota's a great city, and they have a great organization, and I'll be ready to play there next year.
When I talked to you in Chicago, you came off Player of the Year honors, had a great season, but you said you had to work on all aspects of your game. Why?
Well, because going to the NBA, I think I have to step it up a notch everywhere. I can't settle for the skills that I displayed in college. I think the NBA is another level, and I definitely have to improve a lot and work very hard.
Well, this is a moment brought your whole family together.
Yes, it has, and it's great to see my mother, my father, my sisters, and my daughter back in the green room having a good time together.
Okay, good luck. Let's go back to Ernie.
There is Flo Allen, Ray's mom. Go ahead, smile. It's all right. The number 5 pick in the first round. And there is Walter Allen, Ray's dad. An inside look now at Ray Allen, Hubie, and we've talked about his ability to shoot from the outside, deadly from three-point range, and see if that translates into the pros.
Well, that is definitely his strong suit. He has the ability to come off and screens, make the catch, and then have the range. He does not need the dribble to make the three-pointer. That is key at the NBA level. Plus, what you like is the athletic ability, and he's very coachable.
Ray Allen, the number 5 pick in the draft, taken by the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Boston Celtics are up next. We'll be back as the draft continues after this. And welcome back to Continental Airlines Arena, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the 1996 NBA Draft, continuing here on TNT. If you're just joining us, we are in the first round. We are up to pick 6. The Boston Celtics have it. If you're Boston, what are you thinking right now, Hubie?
Well, you have to say all we have right now, we lost Eric Montross in a trade. All you have at the center position is Purvis Ellison. Everyone else is a free agent. But the small forward position, you have Antoine Walker. Now, you can move Rick Fox to the backcourt, play Eric Williams and Antoine Walker.
Boston moving from number 9 to number 6 with the trade with Dallas. Celtics are now ready, and so is the commissioner.
With the 6th pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Antoine Walker from the University of Kentucky.
I wish we had somebody on the set who knew something about this guy. Oh, we do. Rick, how's it make you feel to see this guy go?
This young man came out, a brash high school young man, and was the key to our championship. His maturity level and advancement was sensational. I'm so happy he's drafted by Boston. I was kind of hoping for Boston, the Clippers, or New Jersey. I felt they needed him the most. He can play power forward, small forward, can even bring it up and play a little point forward.
Bittersweet at all for you, though?
Oh, I'm so happy for him. This young man helped us win a championship. Made all our dreams come true. Now they're crying backstage. The family and everybody in Kentucky, including myself, are crying for other reasons because we hate to see this young man leave us.
Any weakness in his game, do you feel?
No, I really feel he's improved defensively. He can play both. What people don't realize, he can play a little power forward. He has a great post-up game. Has to become a little bit more consistent shooter.
but a great, great competitor. Wants to beat you at a game of horse.
Nice anticipation he also has, in the Final Four, in the semifinal game and in the finals. 4 steals in each of those games. The guy has quickness and smarts on the court. And Antoine Walker on his way to the Boston Celtics. There you see the bio on him, 6'10" and 234. Take me through his game, Coach.
Well, he's got a great low post game, much improved. He reminds me of Magic Johnson in the open floor. Now they have the graphic at 6'10". We recruited him at 6'8". Somewhere at the end of the championship to the draft in Chicago, he grew 2 inches. That's how much potential this young man has. But he does have a terrific all-around game. The Boston Celtics got themselves a great, great, potentially basketball player because of the way he can score and pass.
Just 19 years old right now, will turn 20 on August 12th. Antoine Walker picked by the Boston Celtics, and he's with Craig Sager.
All right, first of all, Rick Pitino, he's up there raving about your talents, talking about how great you were, what you did for Kentucky. Why couldn't he talk you into staying?
He tried. I mean, Coach knew it was best for me. The best situation for me was to come out right now, and he bagged me 100%.
He only played you 23 minutes a game. What happens now when you go to a 48-minute game with a 24-second shot clock?
It's very difficult to play 30 minutes in our system. 23 minutes is a long time in our system. It's going to be a big adjustment for me going to the NBA, but I feel very confident in making that adjustment.
On behalf of Larry Bird, who had a lot to do with your selection and all the Celtic fans, compliments on the Taylor, the green. It looks good on you already.
Yeah, I guess I made the right decision. I didn't have no idea I was going to the Celtics, but I feel very happy and with them picking me.
Celtic green is here. Kentucky blue. Sorry, Rick, it's gone.
Yeah, when the college days are over, he's into the pros now, and he must have known something. Wearing the green, Antoine Walker goes to the Boston Celtics.
I think he was putting on the green for the color of money, Ernie. I didn't know the Celtics.
There you go. If that were the case, there'd be a lot of green suits in here tonight.
With the 13th pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Kobe Bryant from Lower Merion High School in Pennsylvania.
A coming out party for the high school kid. Kobe Bryant meeting with the approval of that Charlotte fan in attendance here. And Hubie, this is a guy whose stock has risen every time he's tried out. People like this kid.
Well, everyone writing when he first came out, well, he's going to have to bulk up. This guy is 200 pounds at 6'6". He is an offensive whiz. He's very, very talented. He has all pro moves. And when you look at him, you're talking about a young man with range. He can go off the dribble. He can get his shot. And in every place that he worked out, nothing but raves. No one talking about any shortness or a weakness in his game.
Jerry West told me today that greatness lies ahead for this young man. Thought he was going to be absolutely fantastic. I recruited him out of high school, and certainly I believe everything he said in this man's ability. He is just flat out going to be outstanding. It's going to take him a little time, though, because he's going from high school, skipping college, into a very physical game.
All he did was average 31 points a game his senior year. His team won the state title with 31 wins and 3 losses, and he eclipsed the scoring mark of Wilt Chamberlain in Pennsylvania. This kid has got it all.
Yeah, you get the package, and I think what you like best about him, everyone says that he makes everyone else around him a better player. And he's a winning style guy. We realize that there's a lot to overcome when you come right out of high school. But if anyone has a good chance, this young man is blessed with outstanding offensive skills.
His dad, Joe Jellybean Bryant, was the 14th pick when he was selected. Kobe, number 13. Let's go to Craig Sager.
Well, Kobe, your dad can tell you about the NBA. You can watch every playoff game on TV. But until you go through the workouts, experience yourself, you don't get that firsthand. What was it like for the tryouts? What did you learn?
Well, I learned that you have to work hard and you have to approach the game with a serious mindset. There's a step up from high school, and I understand that. So therefore, every time I step on a basketball court, I'm going to put a strong effort out there on the floor. I'm not going to leave anything on the floor.
You had the grades, you had the scores to go to college. Why the NBA?
It's the ultimate challenge. You know, if I was 40 years old and I'm sitting back and I'm looking back at my career, if I went to college and played on the NBA, maybe I had a great career, maybe not, and I'm still having that doubt in my mind, could I have answered that challenge? Could I have responded to the challenge pressures of the NBA, and that's something that I didn't want to have on my shoulders, so I just really accepted it.
A year ago, is Kevin Garnett sitting where you are. Have you talked to him? What advice has he given you?
Well, he's talked to me. He's told me a lot of stories, a lot of experiences that he was going through. But all in all, he said it has to be your own decision. You know, he said that he can give me a lot of pros and cons, but ultimately it has to be my decision.
Well, here's a copy of The Sting, the official book of the Charlotte Hornets, with your new coach, Dave Cowens, on the cover. Do your homework before you show up at the Hive.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure I will.
All right, congratulations, Ernie.
Wow, Seg's always coming prepared to the NBA draft. Now, you know Joe Jellybean Bryant, we talked about being picked 14th. He's an 8-year NBA veteran and a firm believer in the abilities of his son.
I think he's a rare breed. There's only been a few players that actually make players around them better. I mean, you look at Magic Johnson and you look at Larry Bird. Even when Michael Jordan came in the league, he really didn't make the people around him better. I mean, he was a superstar player, but you know, I think it takes a certain air to make people around you better, and I think Kobe has that quality.
Kobe Bryant, the high school kid, chosen in the first round, number 13 by the Charlotte Hornets. Let's go down to Peter Vesey. Pete, what's up? The waiting game continues for John Wallace of Syracuse, who is admired for his decision to go back to school. Thought it would improve his standing in the draft. He remains seated in the green room, waiting to be chosen here in the NBA draft. We are through 14 picks. Let's go down to the podium and the Phoenix Suns pick with the commissioner, David Stern.
With the 15th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns select Steve Nash from the University of Santa Clara.
Steve Nash, the first Bronco to go in the first round. Since when, you ask? 1969. Bud Ogden to Philadelphia. You remember that, Hubie?
I sure do. As a matter of fact, one of my dearest friends, Carl Williams, was an assistant coach back then, and then became the head coach, now the athletic director. I know the Broncos are very happy. This young man, they recruited him from Victoria, Canada. He plays on the Canadian national team. Just an outstanding young man. Now you say, why Phoenix? Well, Phoenix must protect themselves. Kevin Johnson has already given the news that he's going to retire after one more year. They also have involved before this draft in some potential trades using Elliot Perry as a throw-in with a certain guy by the initial CB. Now, who knows whether that is going to happen. So what you're seeing here is Phoenix protecting themselves. This is an organization that did a magnificent job over the last 2 years getting Person and Finley, and people kind of forget Chris Carr, Mario Bennett, and Coker.
And they're doing this organization over, and this is a good start at the point guard position. Kevin Johnson has been a little injury prone. As you said, you may trade Perry. This is a young man that can grow with Finley and become and form a good nucleus to this Phoenix Sun basketball team.
Rick Majerus, the head coach at Utah, calls him the poor man's John Stockton. And he's got some definite skills. In fact, among the skills, not just dishing the ball off, the guy's a tremendous free throw shooter, nearly 90%. And at the Desert Classic, his coach there was K.C. Jones, called him a natural leader.
Well, he has excellent vision, Ernie. He sees the floor. He can make the play, and then he has three-point range.
Steve Nash going to the Phoenix Suns, and we go to Craig.
You know, Steve, normally, I know you're happy. Normally, we don't like to compare players to those currently in the NBA, but with you, the comparisons don't stop. I must ask for the comparison between you and Kurt Rambis, the other Santa Clara pro.
Well, we're similar in size, I think. You know, honestly, it's just exciting for me to be here. I think that Santa Clara hasn't had a pro since Rambis, and it's exciting for the school. And I want to thank Santa Clara, St. Michael's High School, Arbutus Junior High, all my coaches, my family, and my friends. They've done a lot for me along the way, and I couldn't have done it without any of them.
Marty Blake, the NBA's director of scouting, always talks about the importance of playing in these postseason camps. What was your mentality? What were your thoughts going into Phoenix and the Desert Classic when you performed so well?
Well, there's a lot of pressure there because you never know where you're going to go, and I think people are always speculating this and that. And, you know, I just went out there with a positive attitude and try to control things that I could control and not worry about the extracurricular stuff. So I was really pleased with my performance in Phoenix, and it definitely helped me.
Congratulations. Cotton picked his man. Let's go back to the set.
All right, thank you, Seg. Steve Nash goes to the Phoenix Suns. You know, he's from Victoria, British Columbia. For a time was known as Victoria's Secret. a secret no longer as he's taken in the first round by the Phoenix Suns. Let us check in now with Scott Hastings, our Pacific Division correspondent, standing by with, she's like, I used to work with us, Danny Ainge.
My gosh. Hey, I never got to wear the makeup like he gets the makeup.
I borrowed it from his wife. Hey, the good thing you guys got a new hockey team down here, so you get a Canadian down here so we can watch hockey.
Well, Steve is a big hockey fan from Canada, so we got the Coyotes down here now. He's looking forward to that.
Now what decide on Steve Nash? A lot of people say John Wallace is around there. Do you need some depth in your big man position? But as Hubie just mentioned, Kevin Johnson may retire in a year.
Well, we got a lot of frontline players, Scott, and this was a draft out of need. We have Kevin Johnson retiring after a year, and we don't have a first-round pick next year. We also think Steve's a terrific player. We really like the way he enters the ball in the post. We like the way he runs the floor. We like the way he can shoot, and we're very excited to have him.
Now, what we got you played against Charles Barkley. You're now going to coach Charles Barkley. What are you going to do with Charles Barkley?
Charles is going to do whatever he wants to do, just like he always has. I'm not going to make any difference there.
The Phoenix Sun draft Steve Nash. Forget Stockton. How about the new Danny Ainge in the NBA?
Hey, while you got Danny there for a second, and Danny, I mean, what's the definitive word on Charlie getting traded?
I don't know. There's been a lot of discussions, Ernie, lately, but nothing is imminent right now. It could go on forever, and we could have Charles back, which would be great.
Danny, thank you for joining us. Scotty, we'll talk to you in a few minutes. And the Charlotte Coliseum, home of the Hornets on a hot summer night in North Carolina. It's time for the 1997 NBA Draft. The Hornets have no picks this year, but they're throwing the party. Head coach Dave Cowan says his role is to chaperone. Well, Coach, I can almost guarantee you we'll be a model of decorum here as we bring you 3.5, 4 hours of NBA Draft coverage. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ernie Johnson. Welcome to the 1997 NBA Draft. Fitting that this Hive is hosting the draft because the place is buzzing. Word of an 8-player deal. 5 players, 3 draft picks, 2 teams, the number 2 pick of Philadelphia right in the middle of all that. Also, what's the latest on Scottie Pippen going to Boston? We'll have the latest on that. And, of course, this is the night when God might be drafted. God Shamgod of Providence. What if the Hawks get him? They'd have a priest and a Christian in the front court and God in the back court. You talk about some intangibles. Joining me here tonight, Hubie Brown, who needs no introduction. The head coach at Georgetown University, John Thompson. The head coach of Utah, the Utes, Rick Majerus. Guys, great to have you with us tonight. We'll have a lot of time to talk about a lot of things, and you're only part of the cast. We also have correspondents at 4 NBA cities, beginning with Brian Burwell in Boston.
Thank you, EJ. And the Celtics are concerned that any potential deal that Philadelphia might make at number 2 could kill their deal with Chicago for Scottie Pippen. And speaking of the Bulls, there are rumblings that Michael Jordan is preparing to announce his retirement. Now, just moments ago, in a conversation with his agent David Falk down in Charlotte, he denied that rumor. Now, let's go down to Orlando and Jim Durham.
Thanks, Brian. Here in Orlando, the 2 names you hear talked about are Austin Crocier and Jacques Vaughn. Vaughn worked out twice for the Magic, who may move Penny Hardaway to the 2 spot. Thus, they're looking for a point guard. We'll have it covered in Orlando. Now let's go to Dick Versace in Indianapolis.
Thanks, JD. I'll be covering the Central Division. I'm in Indiana, where the Pacers have the 12th pick. They seem to be leaning towards Austin Crocier. I'll be talking to Larry Bird right after the Pacers pick. Now over to Scott Hastings in Denver.
Thanks, Dick. Here in Denver, the Nuggets had the 5th pick in the draft, and after winning only 21 games last season, they're looking for a lot of help, some deals out on the table. We'll follow the Midwest and the Denver Nuggets as the draft continues. Now let's go back to Charlotte.
I'm Peter Vesey, and I've got the particulars on that big blockbuster trade we were just talking about. The Nets beat out 4 or 5 teams for Van Horn by trading number 7 and the number 21 pick to the 76ers for the 2nd pick. They've got to take back McClain and Harris and a player to be named later. It's supposed to be Cage, and they're giving up Jackson and Montrose. And now I've got the top 7 picks for you in the draft. We've got Duncan, we've got Van Horn, Billups, Daniels, Petit, and in a bit of a surprise, Patino goes for Mercer, and Thomas goes number 7. Check it out.
All right, thank you very much, Peter Vesey. Always nice to have Peter here from NBC on loan. Signed him to a 4-hour contract, and we've got him for the rest of the night. Keep in mind, too, as far as that deal goes, it may be held up for a while because Michael Cage was part of the Dino Raja deal, still yet to be nullified at this point. Let's go to the commissioner to start things off.
Good evening and welcome to the 1997 NBA Draft at the Charlotte Coliseum. Which is the home of the NBA's Charlotte Hornets and the WNBA's Charlotte Sting. To our fans gathered here today, to those watching on TNT in the United States and on TSN in Canada, we thank you for joining us. Let's get started. The first pick in the 1997 NBA Draft goes to the San Antonio Spurs, who have all of 5 minutes to make their selection.
They may need about 10 or 15 seconds of that. Welcome back here, folks. We are underway and can't have a draft without some rules, so let's go over those with you. 2 rounds to the NBA Draft, and as Commissioner David Stern pointed out, 5 minutes between picks. In the first round, San Antonio on the clock first. In the second round, it's the lightning round, 2 minutes between picks. Multiple first-round picks you see there for Boston, for New Jersey, ready to part with those, according to Peter Vesey in the Philadelphia deal, and Cleveland with 13 and 16. And as we noted, the Charlotte Hornets, the host city tonight, with no picks in the draft tonight. Well, let's turn now to our esteemed colleagues here and give Tim Duncan his due right now. We all know Tim Duncan's going to be the first pick of the San Antonio Spurs. This is his moment. The college coaches here, Rick Majerus and John Thompson, bat this around, his kind of game and what you've seen from him in the college ranks.
Well, I think the biggest thing is his intelligence. I think he's going to have to be very intelligent to play in the center at the same time with David. I think he's agile, he's mobile. He's the kind of kid that I think will work hard during the off season. But I think where some problems will come in is defensively, when one of those big guys will have to go out on the perimeter and check a smaller forward.
Is this a guy who got better, Rick?
I think so. I think his hand skills stick out. First of all, he can catch the ball, but I believe he's an aberration because he can dribble it and he can really pass it for a big guy. His passing skills are superb. He's anticipatory to the pass, plus he has a great temperament and demeanor.
Taking the next step to the NBA now. And if you're coaching down in San Antonio, you're Greg Popovich, and you got the Admiral, and you got Timmy Duncan. What are you thinking now, Hubie?
Well, you're very happy, mainly because you're talking David Robinson, if healthy now. Remember, he only played 6 games last year with lower back problems. You have insurance. You play them together, if healthy. You have great shot blocking, great rebounding. And then you're hoping that Charles Smith will be back, and then you have a great second line and a great first line. So he can play facing at 18 feet, he can hit the jump shot, and he can also post up for you. Incredible, and great insurance.
And you talk about the health status of the San Antonio Spurs. That's the thing that dropped them down to a 20-win club, which was unthinkable if David Robinson were in there, but he only played 6 games all year. Impact injuries? I would say so. It was a mash unit for the San Antonio Spurs. Call Hot Lips and Hawkeye, will you? Because everybody on that team was down at one time or another this year, Hubie.
Well, you had Charles Smith, you had Wilkins. You know, you're talking over 300 games. Will Perdue. There's a coach who's looking at this and saying, hey, Person, 82, Robinson, 76. Smith and Elliott, this is my starting front line, and then a bona fide scorer, Chuck Person, off the bench. But if healthy, you're talking great depth. And then you also put into this your little formula Will Perdue at that center position to back up David Robinson, and then you have Duncan in case Robinson is injured.
And you also had the situation there with, you saw Greg Popovich looking so down on the sidelines. He had good reason to, but I have a feeling the smile is going to be on the man's face tonight. Greg, go ahead, allow yourself. You got the #1 pick. He's joining us now. He's joining us from San Antonio, and is that a hint you're giving me, Duncan 21 back there?
I think that's going to be his number. Whatever number he wanted, I didn't care what it was. It's his.
Hey, tell me something really quickly on David Robinson. How is he progressing? How's his back?
He's doing very well. He's about 85 to 90% right now. He's working out both on the court and in the weight room. And I think in August we're going to allow him to have contact with Tim and with Will. And I think then he'll be about 90 or 95. So we're real confident about what he's doing.
Okay, Greg, stick around for just a second. We're ready with the commissioner and the first pick of the 1997 NBA draft. Let's go to the podium.
With the first pick in the 1997 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Tim Duncan from Wake Forest University.
Tim Duncan has some fans up here in the Carolinas. The big All-American. The first pick in the draft, making the walk that so many players dream of making. Yeah, go ahead, Pop. They are on their feet here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tim Duncan taken by the San Antonio Spurs, the first pick in the 1997 NBA draft. And what a performer this guy has been. Consensus National Player of the Year, averaged about 21, 15, and 3 blocks.
Well, you can see he can play facing, put it on the floor, and the nice thing about it is, as his size, he can shoot with either hand. And then you can see he handles extremely well, and then he also has three-point college range. The only negative, the downside, is the foul shooting, and hopefully that will be corrected.
But what a force, guys.
Well, I think another thing that's going to be very important with this group is that your guard play is going to have to be very important, Hubie, because you're going to have proper timing, particularly with 2 big guys in there. And I think a 6'11" forward, I still think is a difficult task, although well-talented team. Don't underestimate the hard job that the coach is going to have to do.
So Tim Duncan, and let's get another take on him from the guy who coached him. Dave Odom, of course, is coach at Wake Forest, and he is well aware of the challenges that await the big guy, and he says he's ready for him.
He's not afraid to compete against the best night in and night out, nor is he anxious about that. I think he has a real sense of confidence, but not cockiness. He knows he has a lot to learn, and he certainly gives due respect to those that have earned it.
Yet another take coming from Joe Smith, now with Golden State, used to play at Maryland. He says, don't be fooled. Tim Duncan is more vicious than he looks. And he's standing by right now with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Ernie, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, led the nation in rebounding. We know what you did for Dave Odom. Let's put Greg Popovich on the phone in San Antonio, and let's talk to your coach there. And, Coach, first of all, congratulations on drafting the #1 pick. And what do you expect from Tim Duncan?
Obviously, we all expect a lot. Quit laughing over there. Tim knows that. He knows what's ahead of him, but mostly he's going to help us get back to where we were in the past. As long as we work hard at it, I think we're going to be able to really make some inroads in the league, and he'll be a big part of it. He knows that.
Now, you could have been in this position a year ago, but you stayed back. Coach Thompson mentioned the intelligence, how you're prepared. What are you going to do for Coach Popovich in San Antonio, that team suddenly getting healthy?
Hopefully all I can. We have a great team coming back there, and hopefully I can fit in and be an integral piece of the whole puzzle.
How about you talking to Coach right now about how the two of you are going to play together with David Robinson? Who has to adjust, Coach?
Well, I think that because both these guys are so versatile, it's not going to be something that is going to take a lot of brain power. It's going to take a lot of precision. Like Coach Thompson said, timing and consistency are going to be important. But right now, I think we got a problem with Tim and Avery Johnson. I read in USA Today that he wanted that point position. And I think Avery's a little worried about that, so we're going to have to straighten that one out first.
They talked about you even going out and guarding some small forwards. Can you do that?
I hope so. I think I have a lot of learning to do, but I did a lot more this year, and I'm getting more comfortable with it. So I hope I can go out there and kind of learn along the way and get better at it.
Well, last night Popovich told us David Robinson was 80%. Today it's 85%. This team is getting healthy in a hurry. Let's go back to Ernie.
All right, thank you very much, Craig, and congratulations to Tim Duncan, the #1 pick. And welcome back to the 1997 NBA Draft. Some of what you've missed if you're just joining us. Keith Van Horn's family pumped up over his selection, #2. Tim Duncan was #1, by the way. And the emotions that flow here at the Charlotte Coliseum, the Hive, the host of the 1997 NBA Draft. Toronto's up, so's the commission.
With the 9th pick in the 1997 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Tracy McGrady from Mount Zion Christian Academy.
That's the question I was supposed to ask, I think, of you guys. But Tracy McGrady, for the 3rd year now, a high school player, is drafted. Kevin Garnett, last year Kobe Bryant and Jermaine O'Neal, and now Tracy McGrady.
Come on, darling, foul. Come on.
So is he ready?
Well, I think you make a deal with the devil. I think you're always better off living your own age. I would encourage these guys to think about staying in school. He's got a lot of talent. He needs to be more demonstrative when he plays. He's got that high angle feed. He's a good feeder, and he's a good ball handler. He's got moves off the dribble, but I don't know if any kid's ready to go in that league.
Well, and I think he's an extremely talented, young person. There's no question about that. He can do a lot of things, and he's going to eventually be a very good player. But I'm always very reluctant to put a great expectation on a kid that's in high school. The thing that amazes me with these guys is they take 19-year-old and 20-year-old people, and then they react to it when they act like they're 19 and 20 years old. I think that you're going to have to wait for him.
As far as talent, every team that he worked out for could see that he's going to be an outstanding player down the road. And that's why a lot of people are talking about taking him at 6 or 7. Never mind, Toronto gets him at 9. So for Toronto, because Walt Williams is a free agent, you have Carlos Rogers and now Tracy McGrady at that small forward position. So it was a great pick for them, taking the best talent that they think for the next few years down the line.
We mentioned that it's the 3rd year in a row that we've had a high school player selected. Last year, of course, Kobe Bryant wound up with the Los Angeles Lakers, and Kobe Bryant was asked for his take, one teenager to another.
In this case with Tracy, the biggest thing I would say to him, and what I'm going to say to him, is just go out there and enjoy yourself. And there's going to be a lot of people trying to get in your ear throughout the season, talk to you, whether it's negative or positive. But it's important that you remain focused on what you need to do. Stay within your team concept and enjoy the game. Don't let anybody take that from you.
But unlike Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady was a relatively unknown player after your junior year. Now you're sitting up here, the 9th pick in the draft. How did your life change and why?
It changed because, I just like to thank God first. And, I had a lot of people supporting me, and I really worked hard to get to the particular point that I'm at.
You have $12 million in a shoe contract already. You're going to get a good offer from the Toronto team as well. What happens now with all the money? Do you go back to wearing the jewelry and the earrings that you had in Auburndale, or do you go back to Coach Hopkins at Mount Zion with the discipline and the hard lifestyle?
I really like to start an endowment at Mount Zion Christian Academy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give back, $300,000, and that's going to be my start.
Congratulations. I taught you at the 9th stop of your 12-team tour. I know that Isaiah Thomas wanted you badly, and he agrees with Hubie Brown and says you're going to be an all-star in this league. Now let's go back to Ernie.
It was cute, too, guys, that they said that at Mount Zion Christian Academy, when they were in a huddle, put their hands in, sometimes they would say Jesus, and sometimes they would say defense. Coach says depending on what they needed more at the present time. But Tracy McGrady taken by the Toronto Raptors.
With the 2nd pick in the 1998 NBA Draft, the Vancouver Grizzlies select Mike Bibby from the University of Arizona.
I look to my left and I see a kid with a sign that says Bibby for Prime Minister. There's at least one, and there it is, who wanted this thing to happen. And he's gotten his wish, the number 2 pick in the NBA Draft. Your thoughts on Henry's son, Mike Bibby, and what he'll bring to the NBA?
Well, the one thing that I think about when I look at Bibby, now Hubie and Rick will agree, you look at guards and you have to figure out what they are. when you look at Henry Bibby, you know doggone well he's a point guard. And I think that's the greatest thing about him is because he can handle the ball and shoot the ball.
He can stretch the defense with his shot. He doesn't have blow-by speed. He's a touch slow and doesn't quite get it to the rim, but he can really extend you, and he's got great post presence relative to the feed. He can feed the post, and he can pass in transition, and he can draw and kick it just outside of the paint.
The talk from Peter Vesey was that Vince Carter would be the pick here to be winding up in Toronto. How about Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson's teammate?
I think Carter's the best athlete in the draft. I saw him work out Monday here with the Grizzlies. Incredible athletic ability. Any attribute you want to ascribe to any player in the NBA, this guy has, including, now he's not Jordan-esque, but he is like Jordan in bounce, hands. He can catch absolutely anything. He can make plays, and he's got a real nice stroke. He doesn't have foot organization and shot discipline yet, but when he gets that, this kid's going to be like a Shandon Anderson on the low block, and perimeter-wise, he's going to have a middle game about close to Jordan's. I think this guy's got an unbelievable upside, maybe the biggest upside in the draft, Carter.
He reminds me a lot of a guy that played in our area at the University of Maryland, was drafted by the Celtics, Len Bias. I watched Len's career develop from just a leaper to a better shooter, a better player, and then an outstanding player. And I look at Carter that way. I think with his work ethic and watching his game develop, he's so athletic that I think that he's got to be a tremendous threat at being a great player.
He'll be part of the drama of draft night is being in that war room and knowing what you're going to do and having the conviction to do it. Now, if you're Don Nelson right now and you kind of were drooling over Antoine Jameson, how you feeling now?
Yeah, no, well, there's always disappointment, okay, Ernie? The main thing is that you are always picking two players, because if that one's gone, you can go to the next.
Let's go to Commissioner David Stern.
With the 5th pick in the 1998 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Vince Carter from the University of North Carolina.
So for the 3rd time, North Carolina has 2 players picked in the top 5 in the NBA draft. Antoine Jameson and Vince Carter going back-to-back here in round 1 with picks 4 and 5. First team All-ACC. Shade under 16 points a game, which was number 11 in the conference. Shot 59%. That was number 1 in the ACC. And when we talk about positions here, guys, again, where does he fit in? Is he a 2? Is he a 3? What is he?
You know what he is? He's a talent. And what he is doing at all of these workouts is he is shocking people with his range. Now, he shot threes at a 40% clip, and yet no one talks about that during his career at North Carolina. And yet, what he is doing in some of these workouts, he's opening up the NBA eye because he's making the NBA three. No one discounts the fact that he can post up, and also he can take it off the dribble to the hole, and he's a great athlete. So you know there is going to be a position for him whichever team he lands at.
And I think one thing that's extremely important is that he's redefining his position because he's improving constantly, and that's the thing that reminds me of Len Bias. You saw him grow. You saw him become a better outside player. You saw his athleticism combined with skills. I think he's got a tremendous upside.
Rick, he scored 21 against you guys in the NCAAs. Not to bring back bad memories or anything like that.
Well, we beat him, so it was a good memory, but I'll tell you something. we fronted that guy, and we told our guys we had a finger touch rule. We said keep a body on him and absolutely never leave him, because he is a threat to go to the offensive board at every opportunity. This guy, if you cut him off in the paint, he can spin off that dribble and complete the play better than anyone in the collegiate game last season. I think one nice thing about this draft so far, here's a characteristic of every player drafted. Each player drafted to date is almost unselfish to a fault. But friends, this kid, Jameson, Bibby, I think that speaks very well for the caliber of play coming in the league.
Oh, they will change.
When they go elk hunting.
Vince Carter, the pick. Now let's go down to Craig Sager.
Well, it's the 6th time the two Tar Heels have been taken in the first round. Antoine Jameson, Vince Carter. The first time I think you've been separated. I saw you guys shopping together at the pre-draft camp, doing the fan jam together. Tell me about this guy's game.
He's going to be a tremendous player in the NBA. He's going to be one of those guys whose name is going to be in the NBA for a long time. And, you know, I was very proud and very fortunate to have him on my team for 3 years. And it's going to be hard getting used to playing against him now. So, you know, we're going to continue to be friends throughout our NBA career and beyond that.
Well, Vince, obviously, He was the College Player of the Year, but you both have great futures. What can you tell me about Antoine's game?
Well, he's always a pleasure to play with, and he makes you better. He plays hard, and when you see him play hard, it makes you want to play hard. And he's really going to do a great job in the NBA, and I know that, and he's going to be a surprise to everyone.
You've been smiling all week, but just a second ago, you're sitting there with a stone face. Peter Vesey announced you may be traded. Is it suddenly an unsettling and an anxiety moment for you?
I've been waiting a long time for this moment. It still is uncertain. So, I'm ready to know for sure exactly where I'm going to be at. And, just to hear my name called was something special. I've been waiting for that moment a long time. But like I said, it's still a lot of uncertainty where I'm going to be at. And I'm just ready for sure to know exactly where I'm going to be at.
Congratulations to both of you. Let's go back to Ernie Johnson.
All right, Craig, Carolina teammates drafted 4 and 5 here in the first round. Up next, the Dallas Mavericks. And we'll be back to Vancouver with more of the NBA draft right after this. Sacramento's up, and we go to the commissioner, David Stern.
With the 7th pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Jason Williams from the University of Florida.
Jason Williams not in attendance here tonight at GM Place in Vancouver, but this is a guy who can play some ball for the Florida Gators. 6'1", 180 pounds. He's had some problems off the court, which have hampered him there, but talent-wise, when you're looking at what this kid does with a basketball, not bad.
Now, you're talking a guy 6'1", 190, who has great speed, the ability to get to anywhere on the court that he would like. He has three-point range, and he has a real feel for the game. He can distribute in either transition or the half-court game. In his tryouts around the league, he has been eye-opening, and Sacramento was one of the stops.
He has a lateral quickness to keep a guy in front of him. He can really move his feet, and that's the prerequisite for being a good point guard. He can get a driving line, he can get that ball out of the middle of the floor, and he can keep pressure on it. He's like Strickland in that, I like what Hubie said, he can get the ball where he wants. He's like Rod Strickland that way. And then when he gets it there, he has the skill to make any type of a pass he wants.
Let me tell you this, guys. We're in contact with NBA scouts throughout the year who were looking at players. We won't name the scout, but here was his report on Jason Williams the first time he saw him play. One of the most exciting players I've seen in some time, 6'1", 190. Innocent-looking kid with an ugly tattoo on each shoulder, and he can play. Creative, wild. He's going to have some big turnover games, but unbelievable. Jumps, dunks in traffic. That's an NBA scout looking at the first time he saw this kid play.
We were going to play Florida in the NIT, and one of our scouts was looking at the film of Florida, and he was terrified of seeing this one kid. We looked at the roster and found out that he wasn't on the roster, and we were absolutely elated at it because he's good. I saw him play before he got into college, and this kid is just one of those kids that have the heart and the determination. He's just got to clean his act up off the floor, and I think he'll be absolutely great.
There's a lottery pick going to the Sacramento Kings. Let us check in with another one of our correspondents now as they shoot off T-shirts into the stands here. Dee Lynam standing by in Houston. Dee?
Ernie, I'm thinking about what could be happening in the Sixers war room right now. They do have the next pick, and Larry Brown and Billy King both thought that this draft had 8 great players, and whoever was left of those 8 when it got to them, they would take. They liked Vince Carter, they liked Tractor Trailer, they liked Larry Hughes, but I don't think they ever dreamed Paul Pierce would still be there. They do need a shooting guard, so it'll be interesting to see. Will they go with the Kansas connection and take Paul Pierce, or will they take Larry Hughes, a guy that they did bring in and did like very, very much? We'll wait and see.
All right, thank you very much, Dean. We'll check back in with you in just a bit because the Rockets are going to be busy here a little bit later in the first round. Let's talk about a guy who is still here, Paul Pierce, and why?
Well, some people question the athleticism, and I find that rather interesting, mainly because you're dealing with a guy who scored over 20 a game. He also averaged 7 rebounds. He shoots 50% or better, and he shoots 36 to 37 in threes, and he's a great guy who gets to the foul line. Now, Magic Johnson, who works out with him every day out at UCLA, told me in the last game that we did in Los Angeles, this guy is going to be an all-star player. He said he has the total package. Now, I don't know. How about yourself, Rick?
Great feel for the game, and you can't coach feel for the game. And that's the bottom line. He can get his shot down.
Well, let's go to the commissioner for the pick of the Philadelphia 76ers here in the first round.
With the 8th pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Larry Hughes from St. Louis University.
So Larry Hughes, all of 19 years old, won't be 20 until January. A lottery pick by the Philadelphia 76ers.
Well, you look at this guy's game, he's 6'5", legit, and he's going to be able to play two positions because everyone likes the way he handles the basketball. He averaged over 20 a game. He's the freshman of the year in Division I college basketball. He did score over 20 a game, but he's not a high percentage shooter at this time in his career. He only shot 41% from the field. But everyone is saying he can get to the point and get the shot off. And at the NBA, that's critical. Can you get the shot off with the clock going down? They say in the future, the shot will come.
Here you got to look at Justin Hughes, who is Larry's brother. Justin, at a very young age, having to undergo a heart transplant. Able to be here tonight at the draft to see his big brother selected as a lottery pick by the Philadelphia 76ers. One of the reasons that, in fact, the reason that Larry Hughes stayed close to home, played at St. Louis to be near his brother Justin. And he enjoys the walk now to meet the commissioner as a first-round selection here in Vancouver. Talk to John Thompson now and Rick Majerus, and you only saw this guy for 1 year in college as a freshman. What are your thoughts?
1 year was enough. I think he's absolutely one of the best players in the draft when you start to talk about versatility. He reminds me of a smaller version of Penny Hardaway. He's one of those kind of people when you talk about the perimeter positions that you ask him, which position do you want to play? Because he has that kind of capability.
How will he blend with your old point guard, Allen Iverson?
Hear nothing, see nothing, and know nothing. I think they'll be great. I think they'll be great together because Allen appreciates ability, and this kid definitely does have ability. Allen is demanding, and I think Larry is very demanding on himself. And I think Larry Brown has a steal in this kid because I thought he was going earlier than this.
Led the conference in scoring with 21, the Conference USA Freshman of the Year. And on the personal side, as we have told you, the story of Larry and Justin Hughes. Justin is little brother, 7 years younger, undergoing a heart transplant about a year and a half ago, and able to be here tonight with Larry as he is drafted. He's in that hat, too. Let's go now to Craig Sig.
Well, a little bit of adjustment here for Justin. First, let's talk to Larry. You always vowed not to forget where you've been or the struggles your family has been through. What does this moment mean for you and your entire family?
This is a dream come true. For me to be able to take care of my family, for them to be there with me at all times, it's great for me.
Justin, you went through a very critical operation. The night of the operation, you told your brother to go play his basketball game. Why?
Because I have faith in the Lord, and I knew he was going to go play. I wanted him to go play and have fun and not worry about me at the hospital.
When you went out and scored 31 points, when you woke up, saw him in the hospital, did you ever worry that you wouldn't make it through the operation, you wouldn't see him again?
No, because I knew I had faith in the Lord, and I knew I would see him again.
Congratulations. I'm glad you're doing well. And also now your mother's going to move to Philadelphia?
Oh, yeah, we're bringing everybody up. Need that good support group in Philadelphia so I can go in there and do my best.
It's a great story of this draft or any draft. And now, Larry, Justin, the two great brothers go to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Let's go back to Ernie.
All right, thank you, Craig. Back with more of the draft in a little while. We'll leave here with a lot of images, but that one will certainly stick out. The Hughes family, what a night. And we welcome you back to Vancouver in the 1998 NBA Draft on TNT. Some of the most beautiful country you will ever see in this part of the world here in Vancouver, British Columbia. We're at GM Place, General Motors Place, the home of the Grizzlies, and we are up to pick number 9, which belongs to the Milwaukee Bucks. Here's a team that was 36-46, 7th in the Central Division, 26 games behind the Chicago Bulls. Where does Milwaukee go at this point, Hubie?
No, I think that Milwaukee takes the best player available. Mainly because that was a team that was playing 500 basketball before the injury to Big Dog Robinson. Right. Now, if that didn't happen, that team probably would have made the playoffs. So they just ended on a bad note. But they have an excellent starting 5.
And let's go to the commissioner.
With the 9th pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Dirk Nowitzki from Würzburg, Germany.
Dirk Nowitzki. Well, he knocked some eyes out at the Nike Summit. 6'10", 235. Hubie, guys, an international star.
Well, he can really run the floor. He's got a great motor there. He can stretch the D. The NBA three is going to be very easy for him because he's accustomed to shooting the international three, and he will go to the NBA three. He's got great athletic ability. The agent, one of the agents in Europe said this guy is a Porsche. He said that Schrempf is a Volkswagen compared to him. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I'll tell you what, he has a great feel for the game in terms of his passing skills, and he's able to make any one of three great variety of passes that point guards can make. So you could run some point forward with him.
And the personal side now of Dirk Nowitzki, he's from Würzburg, Germany, in Bavaria. And you know who else came from Würzburg? I challenge you guys. It would be the physicist Wilhelm Röntgen, who discovered X-rays in 1895 and got the Nobel Prize for that.
I thought you were going to say some guy who made a bratwurst or something.
No, but judging from the beard, I think he had something to do also with cough drops. I'm not knowing. But Dirk Nowitzki is the pick of the Milwaukee Bucks. The influence of the foreign players, the international players, had a tremendous impact in the NBA over the years, and you see the numbers climbing. Well, you had 5, then 2, 2, 3, and 6 in 1997. Dirk Nowitzki is picked now. Let's get Doc Rivers' take on all this. I know as a member of the Atlanta Hawks, back when you guys used to go to you went to the former Soviet Union, and there was some talk there about as the game was going global. It's been going on for a while now, Doc.
Yeah, it really has, and I find it very interesting. You think 20 years back, minorities, the only way that they could make it out of, let's say, the ghettos was to play pro sports, not only basketball, baseball, and football. And now I think that same thing is happening over in the European countries. People are trying to get out, and this is the best way. A lot of opportunity for a lot of foreign players, and you can see the influx of foreign players, not only in the NBA, but in all the professional sports.
And, I mean, what is the thing when you're a player in this league? What do you see? Is there a trait from the international players that you say, this guy needs this if he's going to play in this league? What's the most common thing you see, Doc?
Well, the most common thing is most of them are awful defensively, and I call that the ESPN TNT reason, because all they see is highlights, and they see the fancy passes, the behind-the-pack passes, dunks. They don't see good defense on highlights, and so all the guys from Europe have all the flashy plays.
Doc, we will keep in touch with you as the night goes on. Let us switch gears now, and let me check in with Peter Vesey real quickly. Boston's on the clock right now. Peter?
Well, don't look for Nowitzki and Traylor to stay with their respective teams. Look for them to swap teams. Don Nelson wanted to take Nowitzki at number 6. His owner said no way. So I believe he's dropped back to Milwaukee and traded 6 for 9 and 19. So the trade won't be announced until after Milwaukee drafts for Dallas at number 19.
All right, Peter, but isn't there some uncertainty here, Hubie, on what Nowitzki is going to do? I mean, is he going to sign with Kinder Bologna in Italy and play there? I mean, is he going to stay in the NBA? What's up?
Well, right now he has options, which is good, for the young man. He right now, if he signs with Kinder Bologna that just won the European Championship in Italy, there's a possibility there. He can also stay and play in Germany because the Division II team that he played on qualified to play Division I, and he's getting home country pressure to stay in Germany and play for the home team now that they're going to be a Division I team. Now, naturally being drafted here, if Peter is correct and he does go to Dallas, well, Dallas will sit on him for 1 or 2 years and let him fulfill his obligation, whether it's in Italy or in Germany, and then he can come back as a 21-year-old and play for Dallas.
We've hit double digits. Pick number 10 belongs to Boston. Here's the commissioner.
With the 10th pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics select Paul Pierce from the University of Kansas.
Paul Pierce sitting in the green room back there a little longer than a lot of folks thought he would be. But he is picked now number 10 by the Boston Celtics.
Anytime that you look at Celtic basketball, they do not play a 7 or 8 man rotation. They're rotating a minimum of 10 guys per quarter. They're looking at high energy, and they're always trying to find guys who can put the ball in the basket. Shooting makes up for a multitude of sins, and you have to remember that, and this young man can do it. He can stick the ball in the basket, and the way that the Celtics play, he can give you 2 positions, small forward and 2 guard. When you're young and playing pressing basketball, you're always looking for guys who can give you 2 positions.
Is he one more than the other at this point, Hubie?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I know at Kansas he played 3, but anytime that you play a passing game type of game and you average over 80 points like they do at Kansas, you're constantly in transition. So he's going to a type of team that plays the offensive style that will bring out the best in this young man's talent.
The inside look provided by Roy Williams, his coach at Kansas. He knows what he'll mean to his NBA team, the Celtics.
Well, you know, there's the thing, a lot of arenas that hang from the middle of the court. It's called a scoreboard, and Paul Pierce can score. And that's the reason that he's valuable. And his game is made for the NBA type game. He's a player who can get his shot on his own. He can post up. He can take you to the basket. He can shoot the three-point shot. There's really no way that you can play the percentages on him because he can do everything so well. Coaches, we love kids diving on the floor and drawing charges, but it is a scoreboard, and I think the people in the NBA appreciate that as much as anybody.
First team AP All-American is Paul Pierce, the number 10 pick here in the first round, and the 5th on the all-time Kansas scoring list with better than 1,700 points in his career. And now a teammate of that guy, Antoine Walker, and the Boston Celtics. Let us go to Craig Sager with Paul Pierce.
Well, there's one of your new teammates. You know, a lot of people said the Boston Celtics wanted to move up in the draft. They never thought a Paul Pierce would be available at 10. They're ecstatic in Boston. What were your thoughts as you dropped from 2 to 10?
Well, it's a little disappointment, but, you know, that's the way things go. And, you know, I just got to move on and use motivation.
Don't make it a disappointment because this is a great scenario for you, and they're happy to have you.
Oh, definitely. You know, I think Boston's a great situation. A lot of good players around me. Antoine Walker, Ron Mercer. With me there, Kenny Anderson, I feel like, you know, this is a playoff team, and, you know, we can really build.
Magic Johnson has been tooting your horn all along. What have you learned working out with Magic out of UCLA?
You know, you learn so much from one of the greatest players of all time. You know, he's out there playing with us, showing us little things, you know, to help us along the way. And, you know, I'm using him as a tool right now just to help me get better.
The Leprechaun is smiling. Paul Pierce goes to number 10. Let's go back to Ernie Johnson.
Let's go to the commissioner.
With the second pick in the 1999 NBA draft, the Vancouver Grizzlies select Steve Francis from the University of Maryland.
Steve Francis has his grandmother, cousins, a couple of brothers, stepdad, all in attendance. The roar you heard there was the roar these folks wanted to give out on the first pick when Elton Brand was selected by the Chicago Bulls. But the roar will go up as he makes his way down the hallway and out into the main area here at the MCI Center. Local product out of Tacoma Park and the University of Maryland. Talk about Steve Francis, second pick of the draft by the Vancouver Grizzlies, 6'2.5", 195, another early entry candidate leaving college after his junior year. A couple of good years of junior college, though rather anonymous playing there, but at Maryland he was an immediate impact guy.
Well, no question about it. And Stevie becomes as close as any player that I've seen to being an Allen Iverson lookalike. I'm not saying he's as good as Allen, but I'm saying he has the same entertainment value. He works hard at both ends, and I think he's a workaholic just as Elton Brand is off of the court.
The question here would be, with Mike Bibby already a point guard in Vancouver, is he playing the two?
Yeah, but I think what you're doing here, Ernie, is you're taking a guy, your style of play now might be a little bit more pressure in the backcourt, and you can get away with two small guards. And they had to pick an outstanding talent, a guy who could score. Now remember, when we're looking at this draft, we never say that a player will not be traded between now and 12 o'clock tonight. So you never know what's in the full package and what a club is trying to do, because we know Vancouver, they have Cherokee Parks and Mike Smith at the power forward position, but they were also trying to get better at the four.
And I hope you saw the story that we ran before the draft began about Steve Francis losing his mother as a teenager and surrounded by family and friends tonight and overcoming that. And what a proud night it is for Steve Francis, who joins Craig Sager right now.
Well, the green room wasn't big enough. The table certainly wasn't. Steve Francis, 300 of your extended family here tonight. The draft in your hometown. What has it been like these past couple of days?
It's been real exciting for me. You know, leading up to the draft, I've always wanted to be a professional basketball player, and I'm just glad that I'm selected to be involved in the draft.
Obviously, an honest and good faith passed on from your grandmother, Mabel Wilson, through your mother, Brenda, your late mother, on to you. You've been running this whole show all week. 28 grandchildren. One of your babies is going. You worry about him now, or is it one less headache? What do you think?
Miss him. No, he's never a headache. I'm going to miss him, but he's never gone from my heart. He might be in another state or time, but he's always with me.
What kind of pressures have been on the family this week with the draft here in the town, you having to entertain everybody?
It wasn't a negative pressure. It's been a positive pressure. And I'm happy for him, you know, and I wish him all the best and success.
We talked to her earlier. She said, be careful, be yourself, and call home. Don't forget to call your grandmother now from Vancouver.
I don't think that, you know, it'll be hard for me to be myself. I just want to be happy, you know, where I'm playing, and also, you know, do some of the things that I did in college that made me such a great basketball player, and I'm going to continuously do that.
All right, we have two down, but a lot more picks to go from a sold-out MCI Center and a big extended family of Steve Francis here. We'll continue our draft coverage from Washington.
With the third pick in the 1999 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Baron Davis from UCLA.
Now, Baron Davis is a guy who has made no mistake about the fact that he'd like to be a West Coast guy. He has been chosen now by the Charlotte Hornets, number 3 pick in the first round of the draft. He's a point guard out of UCLA, and I guess the ACL question with him was very big because he blew out a knee during his college career, and people were wondering if that would scare anybody off. Apparently not.
Well, definitely not. You know, you're dealing with a guy who's 6'2", 210, who can get the job done for you. And when you are Charlotte, you have an outstanding front line when you talk about Campbell and Mason, and then you have Coleman, and you have Phils at the small forward position. So now in the backcourt, you're adding another quality guy. So you all have Eddie Jones, you have Wesley, and now you add Baron Davis. You got quality right now. He's joining an excellent ball club for next year, Ernie.
The most multifaceted scorer. He's extraordinarily powerful. He gets to the line. The problem is when he gets to the line, he's only knocking them down at 60%. He's definitely going to have to improve his foul shooting. He's such a weapon. He can score over you. He's got great hang time, and he has the ability to finish with a body on him.
We mentioned this moments ago, and you talk about the big moment in his career, and this was not on the upside. This was on the downside. This was in the NCAA tournament when he blew out his left knee, tore the anterior cruciate ligament, and the question remained, what kind of a player would he be when he came back? And he answered those in positive terms, John.
Well, I think you always have to be concerned, particularly when a smaller player who relies so much on speed gets hurt. But I love this kid's ego and determination and drive. And not only does he have point guard abilities, he's got the point guard ego. and I think that's extremely important in the point guard position.
One of my favorite clips right there behind the back and taking it to the rack. That is Baron Davis, who's the number 3 pick in the draft, taken by the Charlotte Hornets. 68 steals, the 4th highest single season total at UCLA. His dad named him Baron because his son would be like royalty someday. He's the number 3 pick in the draft, and he's with Craig.
Well, Baron, Ernie mentioned earlier that you're a West Coast guy, had dreams of playing in California. What happened when Bob Bass from Charlotte said last week, we're taking Baron Davis? Did that kind of make you feel they really wanted you?
Yeah, I heard a lot in the beginning about me going to the Clippers, and everybody said that, I was a number 4 lock to the Clippers. And then, when Bob Bass said that, that they wanted to take me at 3, then, it made me feel real good. I know they have a great coach in Paul Silas, and I also know they got some great guys in Anthony Mason, Derek Coleman, Eddie Jones, Evan Campbell, some guys who can really play, and they're veterans, and they can help me a lot.
Well, today was named the fastest growing city in the United States, and there's 10,000 people at the Coliseum right now cheering this selection, so they're very happy to have you. But this dream almost slipped away for you. A year ago, in the tournament, you tore your ACL. How tough was that physically and mentally to regain your confidence in your game?
It was real tough physically and mentally. I think mentally more than physically, because, it just really took a toll on me psychologically. I was working so hard and I wasn't getting the results that I would usually get from, the results that you get from hard work. And so, I just kept working, and, I talked to my family and they prayed for me, and, they just gave me encouragement, and, I just really fought through it, and it taught me a lot of patience.
Well, you look good in the Hornets uniform. You look mighty good in your game uniform tonight, too. Yeah, you look good. We'll be back as we continue the draft from the MCI Center in Washington.
With the 10th pick in the 1999 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Jason Terry from the University of Arizona.
So they do go the point guard route. And Jason Terry is one of the, I don't know how to describe this story except to say a little eccentric at times in terms of some of his idiosyncrasies and his superstitions, which we will get into in just a second. I just keep teasing him with that because they are so good. But Jason Terry of Arizona is the pick, the point guard, 6'1.5", 176 out of Arizona. Rick, John?
On the Big Five, he's the best foul shooting point guard. He's quick on quick. This kid's really a jet in the open floor, and really does a nice job of crossing over and dribbling in the open court. He takes the ball across the floor and in either direction almost equally well. That's going to make him very difficult to defend right there. He could become a real disruptor, much like Greg Anthony, if he decided to pick up court, extend his pickup point, and get into you. His lateral movement is sensational.
John? And I think what is really significant here is, first of all, a quality point guard like Jason being selected this late. We realize it's early, but still, point guards are unique. Now, Dikembe Mutombo is one of the best defensive centers. This kid could develop into one of the best defensive guards in the NBA with time. They're going to create havoc if this kid matures and gets stronger.
And Hubie, you know what emphasis Lenny Wilkens puts on defense.
Yeah, no, this is a Lenny Wilkens type of guard. He likes quickness. He wants a guy who can defend. And then most of all, you have to have a guy who can score in the way that they play. And this young man has the total package. He did score right at 20 points a game during the course of the year. He can beat you off the dribble, break the defense down, and then make the play to other people or put the ball in the hole. But I think that the defensive thing is very key here in his resume.
Guy's an Energizer bunny, too. All 40 minutes he played in 17 games this past year. And it's the second straight year that an Arizona Wildcat has been taken in the lottery. Mike Bibby was taken last year by the Vancouver Grizzlies. And tonight, Jason Terry, make no mistake, a first-round pick, number 10 by the Atlanta Hawks. And on the personal side, here we go. You have to bear with me on a few of these things, but he wears 5 pairs of socks and wears them up real high. I don't know if that's because you got skinny legs or because it's just superstition. You see, his dad used to do it in high school, and he saw the pictures, and he wears them up high. He also buys chicken fingers before every game, but does not eat them because he had them once and didn't eat them before the game and went ahead and said, hey, I had such a good game, I'll buy the wings and let them sit there. He also was so excited about a game one time that he put his uniform on the night before and was pacing around his room and fell asleep, slept in his uniform. And so if a game is really big, he sleeps in his uni. That's Jason Terry. Don't you want to meet him? I'm sure you do. Here's Craig Sager.
Boy, he looks so good tonight, Ernie. He has a netty suit, beautiful gator shoes. I hate to ask you to undress, but you got more than one pair of socks on tonight?
Yeah, I got 2 pair of socks. I got my Lucky Cat socks on also.
Let's see. Take a look here. There you are. Speaking of the Lucky Cats, your freshman year, you averaged only 3 points. Last year, Bibby, Dickerson, Simon, 3 of your teammates go pro. What was it like to have to wait your turn?
This was a learning experience. I mean, I just waited my turn, and I followed behind 3 great players. They taught me everything, I know, and in my senior year, I just gave it them all.
When the Hawks traded Mookie Blaylock last night, did you think that was where you would go?
I had no idea, actually. I mean, just being here is just great for me. I mean, I got to thank the Lord, first of all. Atlanta, well, wow.
You sleep in your uniform?
I slept in my suit.
We also, another superstition, he likes to eat chicken nuggets, or at least order them before games. I understand there's a great restaurant by the new Phillips Arena. Make sure you get your chicken nuggets. Let's go back to Ernie.
7th pick in the 1999 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Richard Hamilton from the University of Connecticut.
They seem to like it here at the MCI Center.
About time.
The Co-Big East Player of the Year, along with Tim James, and I know you're familiar with this guy, John Thompson.
I've seen him too much.
You're too familiar with him.
Too familiar with him. And nothing could be happier than to see him in a Wizards uniform, because now I can root for him as opposed to rooting against him. This kid can shoot the basketball. He reminds me a lot of Reggie Miller in terms of his ability to use screens. He's used to being banged because he's had to hit man on him a lot. He can shoot the doggone ball. He's a good player. Very good player.
There's our first hug of the Commissioner, David Stern, and it comes from Richard Hamilton, chosen by the home team here, the Washington Wizards. He is the first team All-American, 6'6", 185. From the national champions, the Yukon Huskies.
Well, one of the things that I think that this kid really does is I think he hits big shots in big situations. A lot of people talk about good shooters, but when you can shoot, I've just seen him shoot that shot so many times that I don't even want to describe him anymore to anybody.
He averaged nearly 22 points a game and 5 rebounds and about 3 assists.
Well, I think if you go back over his career, especially his junior year, every big game they played, he was able to get 20-plus points and take a few shots to get it. He shoots a good percentage. He has the range. He's a whippet in the open floor. Great pick for Washington.
Let's talk about the big moment in Richard Hamilton's career, and it would obviously come in the NCAA championship game, the win over Duke, as he scored 27 points, was voted the most outstanding player of the Final Four, and led the Huskies to the national championship. A great moment in March for Richard Hamilton, and perhaps an even better moment tonight for him as he is chosen in the first round of the draft. He's a lottery pick, and he's with Craig.
Well, let's talk about this ride you're on, Richard. You go from an NCAA title now to the excitement of being Washington's #1 pick. How do you describe the two or compare them?
This is an opportunity of a lifetime. I'm just blessed. I thank the Lord, for bringing me here and making everything so great for me. I'm just happy just to be here right now.
What about the Wizards? Not too far from your hometown of Coatesville.
Oh, most definitely. I think it'll be a great opportunity for me. I met Rod Strickland. He's a good player, and I would love to play with him, and they got good people around him, and it'll be a great opportunity for me to come in and play.
Well, even if the entire town of Coatesville showed up here, your mom, Pamela, knows they couldn't fill one section. That ovation you got here, close to home, talk about what it's been like for you the past couple of days.
Actually, it's just been a lot of work, a lot of long hours, staying in prayer about the situation with Richard. hoping that he was somewhere where he was comfortable and felt good, and people were able to come around his support fan base. Coachville was able to come and share this happy moment and everything with him. So I'm extremely happy about it. I'm extremely happy about it. I'm very proud of it.
Any advice you gave him before the draft or before that big title game when he won a title?
He got that guardian angel on his lapel. That's all he needed.
Okay, thanks a lot. Congratulations. Let's go back to Ernie.
The Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, site of the NBA Draft 2000 here on TNT. Ernie Johnson back at you, joined by the coaches. And for the official welcome to the draft, we turn it over to the commissioner of the NBA, David Stern.
Good evening, and welcome to the 2000 NBA Draft at the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The home of the NBA's Timberwolves and the WNBA's Lynx, who, by the way, are on the road tonight taking on the Sacramento Monarchs. To our fans around the world watching, listening, and logging on NBA.com, thank you for joining us. And to our many fans gathered here tonight, we appreciate your strong and enthusiastic support. Everybody knows the rules. The first pick in the 2000 NBA Draft will be made by the New Jersey Nets, who have 5 minutes to make their selection.
And with that, we are underway, and a look inside the New Jersey Nets war room. A new era there with Rod Thorne as the president and Byron Scott, new head coach of the New Jersey Nets. And so they are on the clock. The 5 minutes is ticking. And we thought it would be interesting to get a few takes on how the first 5 picks in the draft might go. And so we turn to Kenny Smith, and we turn to Rick Majerus and Peter Vesey. And this is the way it shakes out with Kenyon Martin and Stromile Swift, Marcus Fizer, Chris Mim, and Darius Miles, the high schooler. Those are Kenny's. Rick Majerus, fairly similar, I would say. Just flip-flop well. At 4 and 5, a little bit difference. And Peter Vesey, who over the past few years has been deadly accurate at this game, taking Martin, Swift, Fizer, Miles, and Mim, number 5. But it's not enough simply to do that. We have addendums to these lists. Guys basically trying to cover themselves. So what else do you want to add to that? Kenny, you can go first. You got another little list here.
Well, no, the first pick to me has to be Kenyon Martin. One, because you know what he can do on the basketball court. His health is a question, and with Jason Williams basically having the same type of injury, you might be nervous, but you know what you're getting. You know what he can do. You have to go with the goods.
And you got these sleepers right here. Okay. Now, Rick, that's the way you think the top 5's going to go. If you were making the pick, you had the first pick. Tell me.
Well, Miles, of course, then I take Kenyon Martin, the biggest heart in that draft. Chris Miller, the best shot blocker. Alexander, the most prolific scorer. And then with Miller, the guy who most integrates his team into all aspects of play.
Now, Peter Vesey, of course, is down there and has been working on the possibilities of trades, trying to find out who's trying to move up and what might shake down here. What are you hearing? What's the latest right now, Pete?
Well, first of all, Orlando is feverishly trying to move up to the 2 or 3 spot in order to get Miles. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Then we've got the Celtics and the Chicago Bulls both going all out to get Jermaine O'Neal. The Celtics have offered 3 #1 picks. Theirs this year, Denver's next year, and theirs the year after, and a conglomeration of players that Paul Allen is now trying to sort out whether he wants to do it. The Bulls are offering number 7 and number 24 for Jermaine O'Neal, but I believe it's going to take number 4 to get that done.
All right, thank you, Peter. That Orlando scenario is especially intriguing. They've got 5, 10, and 13, 3 lottery picks. Not going to keep all of them in all likelihood, trying to wheel and deal and move up. Now, as far as the New Jersey Nets, who have the first pick, the state of the franchise situation here, not only Jason Williams, but Kerry Kittle's in bad shape. Rod Thorne, the new president. Byron Scott, the new head coach. And so that is where New Jersey stands, poised to make the first pick in the 2000 draft. Let's go to New Jersey. D-line them. What are they going to do?
Ernie, when I'm reading there, I think 50-50 went up to 100% when I see the guys' picks, and I'm going to keep it at 100%. I think equally as important as picking a talented player, the type of person that a team selects is important. And here is a guy who, as a freshman, Kenyon Martin I'm speaking of, averaged 3 points a game. As a senior, almost 19 and 10 boards. So it says a whole lot about the kind of person Kenyon Martin is in terms of his work ethic and where his offensive game has come. There's been some rumors that he might need another surgery on that leg. That pin's been removed. They do believe the bone has set. He probably shouldn't play for another 30 days, and he doesn't have to, and then he would be ready for training camp. And the other thing is, many are saying he's the perfect complement in terms of a forward to play alongside Keith Van Horn. So I'm thinking it's still Kenyon Martin, and we'll know very shortly.
You're absolutely right. We're going to know right now because New Jersey is ready before their time, and the commissioner is ready. Let's hear it.
With the first pick in the 2000 NBA draft, the New Jersey Nets select Kenyon Martin from the University of Cincinnati.
You know, you can play it cool in the hotel. You can say, yeah, you know, it's out of my hands and whatever happens, happens. And look at the look on the face of Kenyon Martin, the #1 pick in the NBA draft. And how guys dream of nights like these. Already got the hat on. A special moment for Kenyon Martin, and words, you don't even need them. You just look at a situation like that and see a big guy, big and strong and tough, and the tears streaking down his face. Power forward out of Cincinnati, everybody's All-American, Player of the Year. About 19 points a game in his senior season. How about it, guys? Tell me about Kenyon Martin. Hubie?
Well, I think what you have here is a guy who can score facing the basket. He can put it on the floor. He's extremely quick, long arms, an excellent rebounder, and then the key, shot blocking. New Jersey had to improve with a physical presence up front.
Well, Ernie, and also you can take a player to the training table and make him heavy. You can take him to the weight room and make him stronger. But this kid brings something to the table that you can't take him any place, and that's hard. And when you put Stephon Marbury with a kid like this, that's just such a natural pick.
Well, I think it best said like this: trap, recover, and rotate to block a shot. I've seen him do that so much. I think he really covers the floor because he is so athletic.
He's the first pick in the draft, and he's standing by with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, thank you very much, Ernie. Now, nobody's had a more up-and-down ride than you have. Ernie mentioned how calm and cool and collected you were at the hotel and sitting here. But suddenly we see you with your head on the table like a kid in trouble with his teacher. Then, Commissioner Stern says the #1 pick is Kenyon Martin. Describe your emotions at that point.
It was unreal. I've been through so much over the last 3 months. Me getting hurt and my family seeing me struggle and stuff like that, it was like a relief.
When you broke your leg in the tournament, how concerned were you that maybe the NBA career, everything you'd worked for 3 years, was suddenly over?
It wasn't a concern at the time. I was concerned for my teammates at the time, but later on that day, it kind of hit me that I wasn't going to play. And that was the biggest thing, and I'm glad my mom and my family stuck by me through it all.
The New Jersey Nets definitely are a team on the rise. How do you fit in with that club?
There are some great players like Stephon and Keith Van Horn and Kerry Kittles, and I'm sorry that Jason had to retire because of his injury, and I think I fit in pretty good with those guys.
What about Byron Scott? What do you know about him?
He was a terrific player, and I'm looking forward to get to know him.
Well, congratulations to you, all the hard work, all the patience after the injury. Congratulations to everybody in your family. Let's go back to Ernie on the set.
Thanks, Craig. There was talk after his junior year that he might come out and jump into the draft. Some of his old high school teachers actually went to where he was playing a game and told him, stay in school for another year. He did. He's the #1 pick of the New Jersey Nets. Let's go to Dee Lynam, who's with Rod Thorne.
Thanks very much, Ernie. Rod, we just heard Kenyon, and obviously an emotional moment for him. But what most impressed you when he was here in the last 10 days?
Well, I think, Dee, when you look at Kenyon Martin, you're looking at a player who has gotten better every year. And you're looking at a player who works extremely hard, and you're looking at a player who can play multiple positions, and you're looking at a player who still hasn't peaked. So we feel extremely fortunate to be able to draft a player of Kenyon's ability, but also of his character and also with his work ethic.
Talk a little about how you anticipate his game would be complemented with Keith Van Horn's game.
Well, Keith is 3-4. Who can, play offensively at both 3 and 4. Basically, as a 4 defensively, we think Kenyon can play 3-4. We think he can cover 3s. We think he can also cover 4s. So we think they're going to be a tough matchup problem for the other team.
Thanks very much. Continued success. Been a busy man. Ernie?
All right, thank you very much, Dee. Let's weigh in with Charles Barkley now on the #1 pick. And you kind of said if they take Kenyon Martin first, you don't know what's going to happen the rest of the way. But what do you make of New Jersey's first selection?
Well, the only question why he wouldn't have been the #1 pick was the injuries. He was by far and away the best player in college basketball this year, and there was no question. New Jersey got a great choice. The only thing is it's a crapshoot from now on. And I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen the next 3 or 4 picks.
Well, the next pick, thank you, Charles, belongs to the Vancouver Grizzlies, and their time is running out. About 20 seconds to go. Quickly, Vancouver got burned at #2 with Steve Francis last year. Is Stromile Swift the guy? It seemed to be a consensus.
Well, what they're looking for is the best athlete, and this is a young player at 6'10", 6'10 and a half, that can block shots, run. He can make the jump shot at 3-point range, and he has nothing but an upside. This guy is blessed with a ton of talent.
Let's go to the podium and the commissioner of the NBA, David Stern, with the #2 pick.
With the second pick in the 2000 NBA draft, the Vancouver Grizzlies select Stromile Swift from Louisiana State University.
Stromile Swift, an early entry candidate after his sophomore year at LSU. And he had told people, oh, Vancouver picks me, that's fine with me. There was going to be no situation here reminiscent of last year when Vancouver picked Steve Francis, and there was disappointment, and there was eventually a trade to the Houston Rockets. But the big fella, 6'9.5", 220, makes his way toward the handshake that all these guys talk about. Can't wait to go up there and shake a hand and a photo op. Tell me about Stromile Swift, John.
Well, I had an opportunity to recruit this kid several years ago, and one of the things I like about him is he's a family kid, so he's going to be a team-oriented kid. And one of the things, he's mobile. All of his game is upside. Right now, I see him more as a 3 because of the fact that he's got to get stronger. He's mobile, he's agile. After he gets older, he'll be hostile.
I agree with Coach Thompson right there. He's a power forward, but he's lacking the power right now. But all the offensive skills, he puts the ball on the floor, he runs, and he definitely will go upstairs to get things and dunk on people.
Dunk on people and swat stuff away. He had 11 blocks in one game against Alabama in a triple overtime game, and blocked 95 shots, and the only guy at LSU who's ever blocked more was, Shaquille O'Neal. So Stromile Swift, the #2 pick, going to the Grizz, and here's Craig.
Well, he went to high school in Shreveport, turned down John Thompson at Georgetown to go to LSU, but you're not going to turn down Vancouver. How do you feel about going to the Grizzlies?
I don't know. I'm
I'm very pleased that they selected me as the number 2 pick, and I'm just looking forward to making an impact in Canada. I'm just happy to be here.
What do you know about the team? What about Sidney Lowe? He was here as an assistant head coach with Minnesota, very popular player.
I don't know. I got a chance to meet with him, with the staff and everybody, once I got to Vancouver, and I don't know. Everything just like fitted in perfect for me. It was like a good situation, and I don't know, I'm happy that they was pleased with my performance at the workouts, and I'm just looking forward to just contributing to the program.
It's one of the most beautiful cities in North America, but Coach Thompson also mentioned what a family guy you are. How does your family feel about you going all the way up to Vancouver?
I think they're pretty cool with it. I don't think they want to move up there. They're going to come visit a lot, and I don't know, I'm probably going to come back home when the season's over with, so I believe they'll be pretty good about it.
With the 3rd pick in the 2000 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Darius Miles of East St. Louis High School.
They call him Little KG. Kevin Garnett was the number 5 pick in '95. Here in the year 2000, the 3rd selection overall, high schooler Darius Miles. This guy has been described so many ways in the weeks leading up to the draft as the enigma of the draft, as the future in the NBA. Michael Jordan saying, I would pick this kid in a heartbeat. And here he is, all of 18 years old, making his way to Commissioner David Stern. He's got all kinds of skills, doesn't he, Hubie?
Yeah.
He can palm.
I love that. That was nice.
John, you know him well. Darius Miles.
Well, you know, I think that the value of this kid is what is so significant. I mean, you can't go wrong in selecting a guy like that, wouldn't you say, Rick? Because his value is as significant as his ability. If you don't use him immediately, you know eventually he's going to be a star and has a tremendous trading value also.
His ball skills are so special. He gets to the foul line with frequency. He gets to the paint. He's a very good decision maker on the pass. And as I had said earlier, if he develops an outside shot, I think he's going to be a superstar.
Rick, the only thing I would say that for a young kid coming into the NBA, stability is everything. And going to the Clippers, to be honest, is not a great deal of stability. And so you don't know how you can develop, and you don't know what's going to happen in the next 3-4 years in that franchise, and it could hinder the things that he can do athletically as a player.
But at least Hannibal Lecter Marbury didn't get a chance to
If you're just joining us, a reference to Peter Vessi's line from before. The high school kid making the jump to the NBA, and he's with Craig.
Well, I already mentioned 5 years ago, Kevin Garnett, the number 1 pick of Minnesota. He turned that team into a perennial contender. You know, now go to the Clippers. What have you learned from KG, from Kobe, from those before you?
Man, KG is my idol. That's my favorite player, him and Chris Webber. I look at KG more than Chris Webber because he's in the same position that I am, and he went through the same thing that I'm going through now. He's a great man, he's a great player, and hopefully I can be a great player like he is today.
We're joined by your mother, Ethel. The Clippers feel he's ready to play in the NBA right now, but what concerns do you have about this 18-year-old next to me, about the lifestyle in the NBA, and is he ready?
I think that he's ready for it, and the last year Darius has really matured, and he'll have family to back him no matter where he goes and what he does.
He's 18. For 16 of those years, you've been driving a bus in East St. Louis. What does this mean to you and the family?
Oh, it's really great. It's really great. We thought that this would come later, but it came early, so we're here and we're ready to handle it.
Does Mom move with you, or does she still drive the bus?
Yeah, it's my mom, my little cousin, and my mom's boyfriend. We all will be together so I can have some family back at home because this is a big world out there.
Well, congratulations. They both got promotions tonight. Let's go back to Ernie.
All right, thank you very much, Craig. And Darius Miles, 18 years old. In fact, after he held the press conference to announce that he would apply for the draft, he did not answer many questions. He had to leave and get stuff for the prom. He's the number 3 pick.